I got a spicy show for you today. I got Enrique Tarrio, convicted seditionist, convicted insurrectionist against the Republic of the United States, who participated in the January 6, 2021 attempt to overthrow our republic. And I have Stephen Bennell II, the spiciest lib on the internet. We also have Grid One Motorsports over here. Hi, Grid. We also have Admiral Gibbs, the dumbest person in Twitch and YouTube politics. We also have Wick TV, the host of the show. And then we have Short Fat Otaku, a lib center-left creator who's pretty fun and funny. He has some contrarian right takes, but realistically, he's into trans girls and he's into anime. So, I mean, how conservative could he be? You know what I'm saying? But the whole fight is going to be, I think, about January 6th. But realistically, we're going to let the conversation go wherever it needs to go. As a result, let me pull this cast of characters. And since I didn't have them on screen, top left, Gibbs, Destiny, the liberal streamer, Short Fat Otaku, the lib progressive, who is sometimes center right, but realistically, he likes trans girls and hentai. Motor Grid, One Sports, Enrique Tarrio, the convicted insurrectionist, Wick TV. And then I've seen this guy throwing elbows before, but I don't know who he is. Let's take it from there.
Okay. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of Wick TV, a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. And gang, have we got a show for you tonight? Recently, the White House have put out a January 6th page where it claims that the Democrats are the real insurrectionists. And it goes through a timeline of events that a lot of people contest. Dev and Destiny have agreed to take on all comers on this and to talk about whether or not it was appropriate for the White House to make these updates, whether the
Grid says that he was responsible for getting Tarrio on the show. You're welcome. Thank you for bringing us the piping hot content, Grid.
These updates were accurate or not. And we have a whole host of people to talk about it with us, including Enrique Tarrio, Gibbs, we got Grid, we got Kung Fu Joe, all sorts of people. We're going to get into it. I guess, yeah, that's the first question for you guys, and we'll just kind of get into it. Was the White House's portrayal of January 6th on their website accurate? Why or why not? Anyone can start. Go ahead.
I guess just on some basic language stuff, can we all agree that Trump never, in any part of that ellipse speech, he never called for peace or told people to be peaceful. He never said any of those words, because he used explicitly at least once, and he never explicitly said, "You guys need to be peaceful. You need to go
Twitter
march."
did stop him from saying "be peaceful." As soon as he said we need to be peaceful, then they deleted his tweet, canceled his account, whatever, and made it impossible for him to actually proclaim "please go be peaceful." So that's one thing that I think we can agree happened.
Well, that's cool. Well, so I'm going to ask my question again. So on the speech in the ellipse, the hour speech or whatever, he never told people to be peaceful. That was never a command he gave. That was never a thing that he explicitly said ever. That was just never a thing that was said. But for some reason, people repeat this. I just want to make sure we all agree on that at the ellipse speech, he never told people you need to be peaceful. You guys should be peaceful. He never said anything. He didn't say that.
Yeah, you're being really narrow with that. Yep, that's true.
Well, I mean, like afterwards, people went to the Capitol and they, at the very
I thought he said peacefully and patriotically go bully Mike Pence into doing the right thing. So, I mean, I don't have enough of the details in order to necessarily care. Like I'm assuming Stephen has some direct quote that would rebut my argumentation. But I could have sworn to God there was a direct quote on January 6, 2021. Yeah, I know you will be, right? Yeah. I thought there was a direct quote where he was like, peacefully and patriotically go get Mike Pence to do the right thing. I thought that was a direct quote, but maybe I'm tripping.
At least rioted, so they weren't peaceful. So yeah, I would like to. I think if we're going to make a
you're talking about his rhetoric, though.
Website,
You're changing the where we're looking. You're saying, well, this one part of the one speech that he gave, this one.
Are you asking if he said specifically the word peaceful? Like, are you nitpicking one word?
So on the WhiteHouse.gov website, they claim, they claim that hold on, let me look for it explicitly. So it says,
just to the host, I'm sorry. To the host, I can cuss here, right? Is there certain words I can't say?
No, nothing that would get me demonetized. So no F slurs, no hard R's, nothing like that. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Other than that, he's dressed as retard, fuck, all that shit. So yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So on the White House website,
God, I love New America. Like, listen, Twitter being a hellscape of fucking like dissident right-wing propagandists constantly bathing my brain in like Christian nationalist, national conservative propaganda does suck. But I do love that the R slur is back. Also, I'm going to say this at the risk of losing my black viewers. Last night, we spoke with Liberal Sanity Project, and he used the word snicker and snigger, meaning to laugh at someone derisively. And then we, of course, realized that that could be, said snigga, and then you're kind of getting around the whole, use of the N-word thing. Now, funny, I'm probably not going to do it, but I'm hoping. I hope one day we can solve systemic racism. That way, we can engage in racialized humor as brothers who love each other. Yeah. Snigga with an A. Yes, there we go.
it's Save America Rallies, their second timestamp. It says he...
Don't explain jokes. I'm 40. It's my job to explain jokes. Hood monkey, I disavow.
Stresses the need to fight for the country through strength and determination, explicitly calling for peaceful protest. I just want to be clear, that never happened. That part is a lie.
Okay, Beef Supreme, I won't for you.
On the side, at the very least, we can agree that that's a lie.
So he never said the words peacefully and patriotically during that speech.
No, that's
that what
he never told people to go do that. He said that I know you'll go marching peacefully and patriotic or whatever, but he never explicitly said. He never called for. That was never explicitly called for.
That's super nuanced, dude. If he says like peacefully and patriotically, I think that's the key. And I think there was a lot of people, including myself, pissed off that day. And to kind of hit what the question for the host, for 4 years, we've been fed nothing but like bullshit and slop from the Biden administration about what happened on January 6th. Now that January 6ers are actually out, we get to say our piece. And I think people get to see both sides of the story, and they get to not make a binary choice. Maybe they agree with me on some things. Maybe they agree with Destiny on other things, or other liberals. And I find it fascinating now that like we're nitpicking words when he's explicitly said that peacefully and patriotically make your way over to the Capitol. And then on top of that,
he didn't say that.
Somebody else went ahead. Hold on one second. What he said.
One fact at a time. Just one fact at a time.
So he goes ahead and on top of that, his tweets get deleted, and you silence the president of the United States right after that. I don't think it was ever his intention to tell anybody. I sat through courts through 6 months. I don't think at any point did he think people were going to storm into the Capitol and storm the building or do anything. I think he wanted people to protest outside. And as somebody that, again, was planning on being there.
I'm going to read the sentence here, okay? I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. He didn't tell them you need to be peaceful. You need to go and be peaceful. You need to go and not commit. He didn't explicitly say that ever. He just said, "I know you'll be marching over."
But who cares? Like, what is he? What is he supposed to say? Hey, don't shoot! Don't shoot it! Don't do this. Can I give the exact negative? Can I give the? You can't prove a negative.
One at a time. Destiny, finish your question. Then Enrique can answer it. And I know Tim wants in too. Is that your name? I'm sorry, Tim.
Yeah, the full quote is, at the ellipse, President Trump speaks to hundreds of thousands of supporters, detailing evidence of election fraud and urging the crowd to march to the Capitol to, quote, peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard, end quote. There is no urging the crowd there. He just says he'll know they'll do it. There is no urging
I'm confused. Why is this the point of attack? Like for me, the point of attack would be Donald Trump didn't know, or like he had half a dozen to a dozen advisors say that the evidence that he claimed for electoral fraud wasn't present. He endorsed the Eastman memo, which was a very flimsy legal theory that you could create alternate slates of electors without being charged criminally for undermining it, that the vice president of the United States not being a ceremonial role of certifying elections, but actually having the authority to reject the certified elections of the states was flimsy. Why wouldn't that be the line of attack? I'm not sure why this is the line of attack, but I mean, I'll give it time. I'll give it time to cook. Fast and Bubbles for 5 says, I know you will let me leave peacefully and patriotically. Renee Good. Woo! That's a spicy super chat. That's a spicy meatball. Good God. All right.
It's about an hour-long speech where he talks about voter fraud. He says we need to fight like hell or we're going to lose our country. He calls everybody in Congress weak. He's here to protest the results of the election. So I just think it's a little bit rich to pretend that there were explicit calls for peace in this. There wasn't. And this was like one thing he said almost at the beginning of the speech. Yeah.
Hey, every time you leave the house, like when you were a kid and you just got your driver's license, does your mom say, "Oh, don't crash"? Like it's retarded to even think that he has to say that every time that he comes out. He said, "You guys are going to peacefully and patriotically march towards."
Maybe
so
he
like,
should say it when
if we're going to play on words, I mean,
D.C. to protest the results of the election. Maybe that would be a good thing to say when he's kind of gotten everybody riled up, and he's also saying you need to fight like hell or you're going to lose your country. Maybe it would be a good idea to really stress the peaceful part, especially considering what happened afterwards, right?
Like he did. He said, I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. That's his speech.
Yeah, that is a line that he said, yes. But
you saying he just didn't say don't be peaceful?
I'm saying he didn't explicitly call him to do it. And I would argue there's stronger calls for explicitly for violence when he says, and we fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. That seems a little bit more of a command. And it's at the end of the speech as opposed to the other thing that was towards the beginning of the speech. It's an hour-long speech. Just saying
this is a line of attack that I'm more happy with because that's an existential threat, right? Saying the Senate, the Republic, they're too weak. They won't do what's necessary in order to save our country. If you guys don't make this happen, then we are not going to be in a country anymore. That's an existential threat if you take that literally true. So yeah, that's my beef too. I think that's stronger than the initial argumentation, in my opinion.
Weren't all these explicit calls for peace. He didn't say you guys need to remain peaceful, nothing like that. He just said, I know you'll be marching over there peacefully and patriotically, make your voice heard. That's it. It's not a huge point. You don't lose the whole.
Hans Mayer asked an important question. How is Connor's Discord? It's filled with political autists. But you need to join the Discord because Grassroots Hegemon wants to hang out with you while he's in Germany. So let me go ahead and send an invite here.
Argument by giving. This want to make sure we're all.
Do you think that he knew?
Hold on.
Do you think that he knew that he was that the crowd was going to peacefully and patriotically march over there? Like he didn't give a marching order, like, "Hey, go storm the Capitol. Hey, go stop the certification election." It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, is what he's saying. Like you don't expect the crowd. I didn't expect the crowd to do that. I know a lot of people, a lot of liberals think that I went over there to go stop the certification election. I wasn't going to do that. And I didn't need the president to tell me to be peaceful and patriotically. I was already both of those things.
Well, so you did know that the Capitol was going to be broken into. It had already happened by the time that speech was over, right? The Proud Boys had literally organized to do this. You guys were involved in breaking through all three of the outer barriers, and then finally with Dominic to break into the actual Capitol with the riot shield. So you did know that was going to happen in advance, right? You were in the Capitol the night before and you left because
you have arrest. So yeah. I'll ask you, like I asked the prosecutors and defense team, what evidence do you have that I knew that was going to happen? Because you said it as an absolute. So what evidence do you have that I thought that was going to happen? Because my messages in court, even given by the prosecution, doesn't show that. It shows that I'm like, holy shit, this is happening.
Sorry, fighting with chat because it's relevant. AK Batusai says, Connor, if fight like hell means unlawfully, then there's not a country for people are fighting for. I think that's straight cope, AK Batusai. I don't think you're thinking about this at all. You understand the Boston Tea Party was illegal, right? You understand the Revolutionary War was illegal, right? You can fight for a country and do illegal things. The question is whether or not they're moral. And so what I would say is that if the Trump crowd was correct, if MAGA was correct, that there was proof positive, outcome determinative voter fraud in the 2020 election, it would be the patriotic duty, not just of Americans, but it would actually be the patriotic duty of all Americans to protest a provably fraudulent election. And not just protest, maybe even overthrow the illegitimate government that was using the fraudulent election in order to seize power. Ray Sunlight says, what was John Brown? Wasn't John Brown like a abolitionist revolutionary who murdered a bunch of Confederate civilians along with some Confederate militia? I forget John Brown. But the point is that, like, yes, there are moral things that you can do that are illegal. Yeah. But AK Batusai says the Revolutionary War was also the Americans acknowledging that if they lost, they would be hung as a traitor. They were also knowing that was unlawful. But how does that change your perspective? You said that if it was illegal, they're not even fighting for a country. That's not true.
Probably, actually, as a matter of fact, Destiny, you probably found out about the storming of the Capitol before I did.
I thought that you were convicted for this. Didn't you lose in front of a jury on this?
If you consider a jury that during their questioning, right, and said that
I do. So we can vote it. Yeah, I do consider that a legitimate jury. Yes, and you did.
Okay, yeah, you did consider it. But
so okay, so
but,
what's?
I mean, I hope one day when you face any assault charges or anything, or sexual assault charges, that you're convicted of a jury that hates your guts. Then they put me in the jury because the first thing I'm going to do is find you guilty.
Okay. I want to hear from some other people here. I want to hear from Tim.
Just to be clear, also, real quick. So everything in the indictment, all of your messages about your plans.
What messages? Can you point one message? Just show me one message, please.
Do you want me to read down the indictment to have you?
I mean, go. Yes, please.
Is that what you want?
We got all night here.
Getting that up.
I don't got nothing to do here, bro. So if you want to look at the indictment, go ahead.
Yeah, while he's getting that up, I do want to hear from some other people in the crowd. I want to hear from Tim here.
Yeah, tell me about my 6-month trial.
Right.
I'd love for you to be a professional.
Right. So go ahead, Tim, then Dev, and then we'll get you Kung Fu Joe and Gibbs and Grit. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted clarification. The first thing I was going to do was about the speech, because that was the prelude to this. But Destiny, I think he wanted to limit it to specifically saying, for regarding, for after the fact. But I mean, are we ignoring the tweets that he gave at 2:38 and 3:13? He specifically does use the words peaceful. He says, "Stay peaceful" for the first one and "remain peaceful," or peaceful for the second one. So what is the contention about the word peaceful and when it was used specifically?
Yeah, so he made those tweets when there was already violence breaking out. So when he says "remain peaceful," that's nonsense, and people were begging him to call people to go home. So like people like Ashley Babbitt got killed because he refused to make that call for people to go home because he was hoping that Congress would break down and give in to the desire for him to have the vote switch.
Congress had already been removed at that point, so that's a stupid thing to say. You know better than that.
Yeah, Congress
Did they not come back that night?
Yeah, they came back later that night, but after all of the rioters had been removed, sir. I mean, that's a dumb thing to say.
That's correct. Yes, after they removed the rioters, which people wanted to happen, they came back and they re-adjourned in order to finish the count. Correct. Thank you for doing the logical order of events. So Tarrio, when you were saying,
hold on, but then
I'm just trying to see if these messages are real. So when you posted a message that said "fuck unity, no quarter, raise the black flag," was that a message that you posted in a group chat?
Sorry, Grid. I might be a little extra soy today because that is fucking crazy. You understand the black flag. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that like the naval order of battle that means no surrender? Doesn't that mean no surrender, no quarter? I don't know, man. That's pretty fucking spicy if you ask me. I'm currently busting up my ODST helmet, but hold on. Let's just make sure that I'm not making shit up real quick. Let's double check meaning of black flag in naval warfare. Meaning of black flag in naval warfare. In naval warfare, a black flag historically means no quarter will be given, signaling intent to kill all enemy combatants and to not take prisoners. famously used by pirates and later by some World War II Allied escorts hunting U-boats. Bro. Literally not a threat, though. I'm sorry, Fatsimo. Saying we're going to kill all the people who oppose us and we're not taking any prisoners, even as hyperbole in the context of a riot? What the fuck? You're saying that's not a threat? Are you fucking kidding me? Do you have, I think you might have autism. I think you got hella autism. Let me just rewind a little bit.
Thank you for doing the logical order of events. So Tarrio, when you were saying,
hold on, but that doesn't support what you said.
I just want to see. I'm just checking to see if these messages are real. So when you posted a message that said "fuck unity, no quarter, raise the black flag," was that a message that you posted in a group chat?
I posted it on social media, yeah, and I'm 100%. I said that. I celebrated it.
Okay.
If I'm guilty of celebrating it, then yes. And that was in social media.
Political prisoners, we won't go quietly. I promise. Is that a thing that you posted?
Yeah, that was in November. Okay. That was in November.
You need
yes.
to remember, we're at war with a virus, not with each other. You need to remember the American people are at war with you. No Trump, no peace, no quarter. Right? These are your messages.
When did those tweets happen? Remind me when those tweets happened.
In November of 2020.
It was in November of 2020. Was January 6th an event? Did January 6th, the event at January 6th, did that ever get announced before November of 2020? Can you tell me the day that it got announced that was going to be a rally?
I'm just making sure that that so far in the indictment you agree to. These things, right?
Unless I'm fucking Nostradamus and I know that some rally's going to happen in the future, do you expect me in November to be tweeting about some shit that I didn't even know was going to happen? An event that I didn't even know was going to happen.
We know that on January, I'm pretty sure the Electoral Count Act literally calls out the date of the certification of the election. So we all knew in advance.
Your Honor, I was goofing around. Your Honor, it was just a meme. No way. Who said that? Who said that? Your Honor, I was bullshitting. Bro, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that in my court case. I'll be like, Your Honor, I was just joking. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. That was amazing. That was great. All right. Yeah. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that in my court case. Your Honor, it was just a joke. I was just fucking around. I meant Black Flag, the band, obviously. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm being soy. I'm having too much fun. Let's let it play out.
December 12th.
Certification of
that's a month before I tweeted that. So, yeah.
December 12th on the election certification? I thought that was January
automatically creating.
No, it's not January 6th. As a matter of fact, you got that wrong. The certification of Congress, the counting of it happens on December 12th.
Just real quick, I do want to make sure that Tim gets a chance to get in here. He's been trying.
Okay, sorry, Tim.
No, it's fine. Then Tim.
No, it's fine.
Dev, go ahead.
We knew when the certification was going to be, but that doesn't necessarily mean people knew that the rally was going to happen, in which case you still have to create the nexus between the rally and his supposed urging people to riot, which, that didn't actually happen. But I'm just trying to understand, you're dismissing the tweets that happened after 2 o'clock and after 3 o'clock.
Okay, I'm going to give myself cancer. When I get lung cancer, you can refer back to this clip in which I use PLA plus gloop and Gorilla Glue without ventilation. You can say, hey, Connor, this is the moment that you got lung cancer. I mean, it's probably the cigarettes. It's probably the cleaning. Like, I don't smoke anymore, but I smoked when I was a young man. It's probably the cigarettes I had when I was a young man. It's probably the cleaning products I had in the Marine Corps, but it's probably still inadvisable to use plastic liquid cement and Gorilla Glue. Yes. To use Gorilla Glue in a non-ventilated space. But realistically, we're all going to get a little bit of cancer, right? We're all going to get a little bit of cancer. So, Jesus hates a pussy. Let's go.
Because they happened after the speech, but in the speech, he also says peaceful, but you're saying he didn't direct people to be peaceful. He just acknowledged it. Isn't that inferred?
He should have told people to go home because it had already gotten violent.
So you're unhappy that he didn't say specific words?
No, he should. Well, at that point, people should have gone home. He should have said, "You need to leave." It wasn't peaceful. It was a riot at that point.
If he says
So
to
you wanted him
be peaceful,
the
that
initial contention, my understanding. I'm sorry, Grid. I thought the initial
beyond splitting
contention,
hairs.
I thought the
I'm
initial
not beyond
contention
splitting hairs.
was
It's very easy. So if there's a riot happening at the Capitol and you have the ability to tell your people to go home, you should probably tell your people to go home.
you wanted him to tell people to go home in the middle of the speech when he says to be peaceful.
You were just
Because
talking
I
about his
thought the
tweets that he
contention-
made hours later at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Which one do you want to talk about?
But I thought you were complaining about the fact that he didn't direct people to be peaceful in the speech when he said, "I know you will be peaceful."
Well, yes,
So I
but that's
just wanna
because
clarify.
I'm just going through the whitehouse.gov J6 site and I'm
Bunch of
going
stupid
through
thing
the
arguing about.
timeline on the claim thing, right? And the second claim for the Save America rally is President Trump delivers powerful speech. That was just the very first one I was looking at.
I don't even think
I just started with that one.
I don't even think it's worth getting in the weeds of what he
Okay,
said. He
that's
said
fine.
peacefully and patriotically. Like
Mhm.
we don't need a 10-minute discussion on what those words mean and how he meant it.
Well, can I?
I mean,
He also did say, just to be clear, he said we have to fight like hell or we're going to lose our country, right? How would you describe
yeah,
the
I
event?
think so.
How would you
Yeah,
describe the
yeah.
events
Use the
that
word fight like
unfolded
hell.
over the next 4 hours? How would you describe the events that unfolded? What did it seem was more happening? That people were fighting like hell because they thought they were going to lose their country, or that they were marching peacefully and patriotically?
Mostly
I think
that.
95% of the people, I believe 95% of the people that were there on J6, all they did was walk in. They didn't touch a fucking cop. They didn't break a window. They didn't do any of that. If you want to talk about the 5%, look, I don't agree. I don't agree with the assaults. I've said this. I said this on January 6th in the evening after seeing it. I said it on national television. I said it on CNN and I said it on Univision. I can't vibe with people assaulting police officers. I think that they should have been arrested. I don't think that the problem was, I still think that they should be pardoned, not for their actions, but because of how justice.
Why do we care about
was
any of this? I don't know what we're
administered.
talking about now. This doesn't do anything.
Well, no, I
Enrique,
really don't care about you talking about
I heard that you
the
said
president's words.
95% were peaceful. So that
95% were peaceful.
So, okay, so then 5,000, 10,000 people were rioting then, if the president's own words are to be believed.
Is
because
that
you
the
say,
number of people?
It
Do you
was
believe
about
5 or
100,000
10,000 people
there,
walked into the Capitol that day?
Yeah, there was
On
about
the-
100,000 people, I believe, is the number of protesters.
on the site, they say hundreds of thousands, so 5,000 to 10,000 violent rioters.
No. I'm asking you, is that the number? Are you citing the number of people that went inside the Capitol or the number of people that attended the rally?
I'm giving what they had as attended the rally on the White House.
I'm not asking what they give you. I'm asking what you know.
I know that around 1,600 people were charged. I don't know how many people went into the building altogether. I don't have the count on that, so I don't know. if
So
that's
you
not
don't know what the
we're
five?
talking about.
We could just say 5%. We don't got to go with the number because it wasn't
Enrique.
tens of thousands of people that went in.
Enrique,
It
it's
was
almost
1.5%, but it was a small number. I mean,
Well, because only a small number of people even got to the building, right? That's how it works. Like in any riot, it's probably like 1 to 5% of people that are being violent, right?
There were probably thousands of people in the building. I was one of them. And like Enrique, I think this is, like you said, well, I would say it's besides the point, because if you want to address the violence, it happened in very select areas and there was a context behind it, such as the Lower West Terrace Tunnel. It actually, one of the biggest reasons it wasn't an insurrection is that it got less violent when people got inside the building. If they were going to, become violent and overthrow the government, we would have been more violent in the building than out. But what you see is that when you review the video, it actually was at very select locations because people were incited. There were provocateurs. I agree with Enrique. Not everybody who was there was a good person.
So to be clear, the incitement was you trying to break through where cops were. When people were inside the building, they weren't violent because they didn't even know what they were supposed
What
to
do
do.
you mean by you? What do you mean by you? Are you talking to me or are you talking to
the general you? Because he's talking about the protesters not being violent once they got inside the building because they didn't have much to be violent against because all of the Congress.
So you're agreeing with me and Tim and saying that some protesters were violent. Yeah, I agree with you. Some protesters were violent. I believe that they should. I believe that they should be arrested, and I believe that they should have gotten some time in prison. Yes, I don't believe that they should have gotten 10, 20 years.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do want
And
to.
I don't believe it's like you said,
Before anyone else goes,
Destiny.
hold on, just real quick. Before anyone else goes, I do want to make sure that Dev gets a chance to have to say and
Okay, go ahead.
come in and give us what he's got. And I do see Gibbs, Kung Fu Joe over there, and we're gonna get you in here in a second. Dev, go ahead, give us what you think.
Yeah, I've just been listening. This is kind of crazy. Just because I don't know who you are, the guy with the green background, but you were talking about Trump's tweets, and I mean, while the riot was happening, you expect a decent, competent, good leader to try to calm people down. That's what you expect them to say. But I mean, at 2:24 p.m., Donald Trump tweeted, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. Now, that statement, is that going to calm people down or rile people up, do you think?
Well, I can tell you from my own experience, it didn't rile me up. I actually, at that point, I actually wrongfully assumed when I read that tweet, I was already in the
Why
crypt.
is he answering from his own personal experience? What are we doing?
Well,
because he was there.
I'm offering a perspective because I was asked, "Why do you think?"
Okay,
I'm telling
fair
you.
enough. How about everyone else's perspective then?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I think most
You're asking to give other people's perspective that's not here.
He can give his own
kind of
perspective.
how reality works. We kind of speak for how we think people are generally like motivated by things or what might cause people to do things. Are we incapable here?
He's a people.
Here, you know what? I'm going to tell you exactly what people thought. I'm going to tell you exactly what
let's not generalize to some bullshit. Just stay on the specific things.
No, I'm going to give you exactly what people thought, and I'm going to give you my specific thought.
What did Pence fail?
So,
what did that mean?
So anybody who thinks that the only reason, excuse me, I think anybody who thinks that the only reason that people went into the Capitol is because Trump told them that the election was stolen is a retard. I think they weren't looking backwards, and it started with Hillary Clinton in September of 2016 calling
at the
Trump
Capitol
supporters as
I appreciate Steven throwing elbows. I appreciate Nebraska Steve, coming out a little bit. However, I would say that I actually do want to hear the argumentation. Okay, I do want to hear the argumentation, because if you're talking about the most extreme people possible, Enrique Tarrio got convicted, I think, of like sedition or something, and he got 20 years. And so as a result, if he has some kind of like rationale that explains why the specific motivating factor wasn't the alleged corruption of the 2020 election, but there was like an expanded reason to be there, I want to hear it, right? 22 years. I want to hear it. Now, some people are already jumping to, he's an R slur and, this, that, the other. He could be totally self-sweeping. He could be totally, spreading propaganda. But I want to hear it. That way you can take it apart. And that's one of the one things that kind of frustrates me about debate, where Stephen is viewed as like a really good interlocutor. Like, listen, if you're a really good debater, your opponent should be able to forward their arguments uninterrupted, and you should be able to rip them apart, right? So interrupting Tarrio before he's forwarded his arguments, even if the arguments are completely R-slurred, let's hear the arguments first before we tear them apart, right?
A basket of deplorables. Then you take us off social media. Then you go ahead and you definance us, you deplatform us, you shut down our businesses during COVID, right? Yeah. You allow the summer of love to happen unchecked.
Wasn't Trump
and the straw that broke.
And by the way, this argumentation sucks, right? This argumentation sucks. Him saying like, BLM happened, therefore we have the right to storm the Capitol. That's fucking cringe. It's stupid. It doesn't stand up in a court of law. It's a dumb argument. And so if, in my opinion, Stephen had let him get that out, then he literally could have just been like, oh, well, wait. So you're saying that because BLM protesters had the summer of love and 95% of them were peaceful, but 5% of them were, violent freaks and set buildings on fire and this, that, the other, or the lockdowns or the social media stuff. Does that give you a right to riot in the nation's capital? Obviously not. And so like you could have just let him get the argumentation out and we would have been fine.
Wasn't Trump the president for that? One at a time. One at a time. Both of you.
Is somebody stole the fucking election. We were pissed off about a million fucking things. Yeah. Well, there's a million things that we're pissed off about. It wasn't just
for January 6th. Why were people at the Capitol? What were they there for?
We were there to fucking peacefully protest.
Hold on, guys. I got to show you something important. Let me remove this real quick. And let me take a look at it myself. Guys, look at the helmet. Yes. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some bike cushions for the helmet. That way it's actually like comfortable on my skull. And then I'm also going to get the visor. You could print the visor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the mesh that they use for like airsoft masks, and I'm going to form it around the visor, and then I'm going to put it across the whole face so I can wear this. It's a little snug, but honestly, I think it's pretty cool. But I can wear this, have it comfortably sit on my head without wobbling all over the place. And then I can, maybe even get a chin strap, maybe even get some like cushions in the side so it wraps around my neck. Maybe put some cushions in the top. That way it sits like comfortably on my head. And then put the airsoft grill on top of it. That way I can do that. Bro, yeah, I'm not worried about the glue smells. King, we're getting cancer today, bro. We're getting cancer today. Hal says, is this Connor's Arsler helmet to protect his soft spot? Yes. Thomas Martinson says he didn't drop his phone, dumbass. I'm watching the earlier part. We all watch the videos, dumbass. Yeah, dude, you're like an hour late. Thomas Martinson, hour late, being soy. It's all right. I'll let him catch up. I won't ban Thomas Martinson for being soy. It's fine. Thomas Martinson gets a pass. Cosium Weird says, it defeats the point of even bringing Enrique on, but to be fair to Destiny, any argument Tarrio makes should be heard 16 to 18 years from now. Sure. But I do think that anybody with an IQ above 80 should be able to just see the problems with this line of argumentation. BLM doing the doing the Summer of Love and the riots in the summer of 2020 doesn't excuse you engaging in insurrection on January 6, 2021. If they're criminals who deserve to be incarcerated and you rioted at the Capitol, you deserve to be incarcerated as well. So, yeah. Thomas Martin says, sorry, just got to that part of the combo. Pissed me off. It happens. No problem, Thomas Martinson. I'm going to tell Thomas Martinson, keep watching. We end up on solid ground. Is Connor suited up to be a death trooper? No, an ODST.
Stolen election. Who called them there?
President Trump called it.
I need to ask you a question.
At the ellipse.
Thank you for Christian Valeris for wrapping up the goal. We've smashed 2 goals today. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. I'm going to reset the goal. Let's go.
Okay. I gotta ask this. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Because do you truly believe?
Fuck you, Darth Panzer.
That people, absent Trump, absent his speech, that they wouldn't have been people like showing up angry at the Capitol that day? Is that your claim?
Absent him inviting them there? Nah, maybe 1,000, maybe, I don't know. If
well, hold on. So you don't believe that there are other factors leading up to that day from the time of the election, not including Trump, that would have motivated enough angry people to show up that day?
Well, I can tell you what the other factors are. It's actually really easy. There was a whole bunch of people online who were posting. There's a whole bunch of people online.
No, hold on.
No.
I'm going to answer your question.
I'm going to answer you. There's a whole bunch of people online who are posting about how Mike Pence has the power to send back the electors so that Trump can steal the election, and everyone was hyping themselves up for this bullshit. That's why you guys went there. It was retarded.
No. That's not the only thing I'm talking about. Like, I have a list of things that factually happened, and whether or not you can observe them through 2020, vision, like from now, doesn't matter because we had so little time to analyze these things. So expanded mail-in voting due to COVID-19, late night vote count pauses and updates in key states, changes to the election procedures.
So every single one of these things failed in court.
I'm not done yet.
They had their day in court. You lost on every single one of these.
Buddy,
all of them.
Did you not just
every
hear
single
what
one.
I just said?
It's cute. He believes in the justice system.
Courts have litigated all of these. You lost.
Hold on. No. That you obviously weren't listening. If you listen, you could hear me better. What I said was, what happened by the time January 6th rolled around, we didn't have the time and like 8 hours a day for years on end. No, we didn't have years like you did. No, we didn't.
You did.
Okay, between January 6th and the election, the determination of the election, how much time was there?
A few months, but there was enough time that almost
A few
every
months,
single
yeah.
claim, every single
Hold
claim
on,
that
I'm not
Donald
even
Trump
done yet.
brought up in his speech had already been debunked thoroughly, and none of them,
Hold on.
absolutely zero of them,
I
have
would
held
like
up today. So apparently there was enough
that's
time.
not true. Hold
It
on.
is.
So
That is
let's-
completely true.
Democrats were
Actually,
saying-
completely true.
Democrats
That's
were
not
saying
true.
that mail-in voting is the most unreliable form of voting. Democrats said that. That's something that's not going to change.
Who asked?
well, you know,
This is
what
we
does that
sit
do
here.
anything? It's not relevant. Yeah.
So the White House
How is
posted
it
this
not
thing.
relevant?
I want to hear from Gibbs. Gibbs, go ahead.
Yeah. So the White House posted this thing.
This is the dumbest guy in Twitch and YouTube politics, by the way, about to talk. So we'll see if he actually has a coherent point. Unfortunately, despite me labeling him the dumbest guy in Twitch and YouTube politics, he made a point that I actually agreed with over Destiny in a previous debate. So I cannot completely strawman him, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I just have to evaluate his arguments based off of what they are. But what I would say is that my frustration with this line of argumentation that the guy has presented is you are betting your future on trusting Donald Trump. And I think that Donald Trump is a unreliable narrator. So getting I would never bet my freedom on something that Donald Trump had told me. And yet it seems like plenty of January 6ers were saying, no, Donald Trump's totally telling the truth. Therefore, we actually do need to protest and riot. And therefore, all of these irregularities in reference to voting are definitely proof positive of outcome determinative voter fraud. Also, one of the things that gets brought up is Hillary Clinton bitching about the 2016 election. But her bitching about the 2016 election is not saying, at least to my knowledge, she was not saying that there were hundreds of thousands of people who cast incorrect ballots, who went to the polls, signed their names next to the vote and clicked the name. And these were actually all fake and made up and lame and all that kind of stuff. That wasn't the argument in 16. What Hillary Clinton said instead was that there was an active foreign interference campaign that was significant enough to change the outcome of the election. So effectively, Americans were propagandized by foreign influence campaigns to the degree that it affected the election. Now, is she calling into doubt, Donald Trump's legitimacy, blah, 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 blah? Yeah, sure. But it's not the same accusation. The accusation from one thing is that the entire voting system is corrupt and fraudulent. And the accusation from the other thing is that within a free society, there was so much toxic propaganda coming in that as a result, people changed the way that they voted. It's not completely different arguments, but they're aligned, but substantially different arguments.
And I really feel it's important that we kind of like analyze it in the 2026 light, actually. What did they say? It says, in truth, it was the Democrats who staged the real insurrection by certifying the fraud-ridden election, including widespread irregularities and weaponizing federal agencies. All right. So we're seeing, look at this. Now we're looking at right now what's happening.
Quoting? Wait, who was that even a quote from?
That's on
that
the
is the
January
White House
6th website.
page, whitehouse.gov,
It was
the
the page,
whole
yeah.
thing that we're here. Y'all literally posted and said, this is what we're debating today.
Well, okay,
I don't know.
what's
Sorry.
the
Anyway,
point?
well,
If that's true, then shouldn't we have evidence now? Donald Trump was saying that he was going to have evidence in a month that was going to prove the outcome determinative election fraud that happened in the 2020 election. So considering that we are now a month after he said that, probably we're at 2 months after he said that, do we have proof positive that there was outcome determinative voter fraud in the 2020 election? Because I wasn't expecting to get a website of regurgitated talking points. I was expecting to get hard evidence that there were tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of fraudulent votes that were documentably, provably false. That's what I was waiting for. I'm still waiting on the Kraken. I've been waiting on the Kraken since late 2020. I still haven't gotten my Kraken. And it's like January going on February 2026. I've been waiting 5 fucking years for my Kraken. I still haven't gotten it yet.
I would like to get to it. Thank you. 1 second, please. Anyway, and so when we look at it in 2026 and we see all the fraud and we see places like Minnesota where we now have evidence that 197 duplicate ballots were posted. Yes, we do. We do have that. It was just by the Congress just a couple days ago. Maybe keep up to date.
Yeah, Sacred Snow says the thing they'll claim is the Fulton County 300,000 votes, but I haven't seen anything that substantiates it. Bro, Sacred Snow, Not only is the Fulton County 300K votes claim bullshit, well, actually, I shouldn't say it's bullshit. It's true that it was not signed and taped by election officials the way that it was supposed to be before it was turned in for counting or some shit like that. But Fulton County and the state of Georgia did a recount and did not find sufficient irregularities in the cast votes to throw them out. We've already had a recount on the 300,000.
We have that. We see evidence of the fraud. We see evidence of this NGOs paying for it. The Trump administration has been saying from day one, when this went down, that they're basically having some sort of system in place to rig the election. So they're the real insurrectionists by subverting the will of the voters, and that's what we're seeing has happened. They use the fraud system.
Why didn't Trump? Trump said this coming in 2016. They had 4 years to find it. Why did Trump not find anything?
Oh yeah, because Biden's going to be investigating himself whenever he gets put in power, huh? Does that make sense? Give me a break. Come on, man.
He's been in power for a year, Gibbs. This is why I think you're one of the dumbest people in Twitch and YouTube politics, and this is why I get really mean about it.
No, Trump said there was rampant voter fraud for the 2016 election. He was in office for 4 years after. They found nothing. He put together a commission to find it. They found nothing.
And yet when
Grid says, I have to go get ready for my show. Have a great day, man. Be cool. Thank you, Grid. Thank you for bringing us the content. I hope you have a great day.
Now we're finding all sorts of stuff, though. So
no, we're not.
Crazy
but I didn't ask
now that we cleaned out more of the stuff.
I said he had 4 years.
I'm talking about now, though. You know, we can talk about 4 years ago.
Well, no, you weren't talking about now. You brought up a quote from 2016. So you want to talk about now? If you want to talk about now, talk about now. Why don't we have any fraud from this election? He said there was millions of illegal voting. We don't have any.
Even if the point was we don't have proof positive of outcome determinative election fraud for 2016, this still works for 2020 and 2021. How come now that Trump has had the levers of power for the past year and he's had sycophants? He's had Dan Bongino, he's had Kash Patel, and he's had Pam Bondi in office for a year and a half now, and they still have 0 indictments in reference to outcome determinative voter fraud for 2020. Not only that, but Department of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard came out in a press conference and said that President Barack Hussein Obama, through the Russian collusion hoax, attempted to overthrow the president of the United States. And yet we are a year and a half into the Trump administration. Well, I mean, I guess we're really just a year in, but we're a year into the Trump administration and we have 0 criminal charges against President Barack Hussein Obama or any of his cronies. So if DNI, what's happening is DNI Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and President Trump, are they lying to us? You know, because that's the only alternative. The only alternative is either it didn't happen and they're lying to us, or it did happen and they're on the verge of dropping a ton of criminal prosecutions. Okay. Yeah, Todd Sullivan, I already addressed this. In December 2025, it was reported that over 315,000 early vote ballots in Fulton County, Georgia lacked required poll worker signatures on tabulator tapes, a procedural requirement under Georgia law for certifying voter totals. Yeah. And then they recounted the votes and then they certified them. So what do you want?
Right.
Okay.
The quote I just read from 3 days ago. You realize that, right?
I'm asking you, where is the evidence of the voter fraud? The rampant voter fraud in 2016, in 2020.
Well, we literally have evidence right now that 197 duplicates votes were cast in Minnesota's election, and 137,000 is what it cost to beat him, right? And so, yeah, clearly something was going on when we have billions in fraud and 197,000 duplicate votes in a state where they won, and it's a state where, guess what? Timmy Walls is the VP candidate. Come on.
Pass and Bulba says, can I make a racist joke? Yes, please.
On, bro, there's some kind of collusion here. That's the real insurrection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I am curious. Something Enrique said at the beginning of the show, that people have been fed a lie about January 6th. If you could have, if there is one lie you could point to that the Biden administration or the Democrats or whoever has been saying about January 6th, what would you say that lie is? And then we can see if Dev and Destiny, what they think about that. What do you think, Enrique?
So to say something that I don't want to argue about, but
I disavow. I disavow. Fast and bulbous, I am going to highlight this disgusting racist comment in my chat so everybody can see how much of a repulsive racist you are. I disavow.
Just saying it's an insurrection was all bullshit. But to be more specific, and specific to my case, that we decided to plan to commit an act of sedition, which is one step on the treason for people that don't know that, to overthrow by force the United States government is bullshit. And they ran with this narrative, and they ran with this Tom Clancy novel. Because if you read not only my indictment, if you sat through the 6 months of my trial and you read all the bullshit that went on in the trial and how they wanted to paint it, I think that's one of the biggest miscarriages of justice. And the big.
I also disavow this equally heinous and repulsive joke, which I can actually read. What kind of a car does a rabbi drive? A Maserati.
Biggest miscarriage of a PR campaign by the DOJ. So much so that I think I'm happy that I got 22 years because it opened people's eyes and was like, well, you know what? I don't like this guy, but he doesn't deserve 22 years because, you know, these facts are the case. And in my case, you know, we had FBI agents embedded within the group. We had
I always love the FBI agents embedded in the group thing, because the FBI agents within the group, there's this great thing. There's this 3D gun designer guy out of Texas, and his defense, because he was charged with like soliciting an underage girl for sex or something like that. And in a post on a 4chan green text in reference to the incident was like, do you know how many federal government agents could pretend to be 16-year-old girls that wanted to have sex with me? Do you know how many federal agents it would take for me to fall for that trap? Infinite federal agents. Do you know how many federal agents it took to pretend to be a 16-year-old girl in order to entice this man to try to have sex with an underage girl? One. And that's like that's my vibe whenever it's like, oh, I was surrounded by federal agents. And it's like, yeah, well, how hard did they have to try to entice you into committing criminal acts? Because the truth is, I commit criminal acts, but my criminal acts are cute. You know, my criminal acts are like going through a red light that doesn't have a camera when the sign says no turn on red, but I know that I'm turning on red because there's nobody else on the roadway, you know? My criminal act is probably violating some random local state tax law in reference to commercial activity that I haven't reported because it's not a substantial amount of my income. That's probably the way that I commit crimes. The crimes that I am enticed to commit are not sedition against the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? Ray Sunlight says, what does a priest eat during Lent? None.
PIs that were informing about the Proud Boys before January 6th and at January 6th, and not a single one of them did the prosecution put on the stand. So just to close up here, I think them blaming. Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm just closing up. But for the most part, I think the hold on a sec. Hey, dude,
just let him finish his point before you try to tear it apart. Destiny, Jesus Christ.
Hey, let me finish, and then you can go ahead and do your own shit. Yeah, just mute yourself for a second. So check this out. So I think in closing, I think just the narrative that went behind this seditious conspiracy with the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, it's bullshit. You want to get some of them, you want to get Dominic, look, you want to get Dominic Pizzola for breaking a window? You could go ahead and break a window, and he'd be charged for it. You know what? I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to keep talking for a second. If you want to get Dominic Pizzola for breaking a window, then absolutely, go ahead. He'll tell you himself that he shouldn't have broken a window. And I'm unmuted.
Rob says that's literally what you do, Connor. What, I talk over people? Yeah, when I get pissed off and annoyed, and I've been there for a long time. Absolutely.
The Proud Boys were the ones that broke through initially, right? They were the first ones in, right?
No, they weren't the first ones to break in.
They weren't the first one. So there wasn't, let me just be clear. So there wasn't a group of about 100 Proud Boys while Trump was still speaking that made
There wasn't even 100 Proud Boys in the ground on January 6th. So let's start with correction.
Okay. How many would you say there were? 52. 52. Okay. Yes. Was there a group of about 50 Proud Boys during Trump's speech that were already making their way to the Capitol that broke through the outer perimeter, then the second one, and then eventually broke through the window with the riot shield via Dominic? Was that all the Proud Boys?
No, apparently you don't know about the Dominic Pizzola. So we'll start with the Dominic Pizzola and work our way down. So with Dominic Pizzola, Dominic wasn't the one that initially broke the window, and he wasn't the last one to pull the window. He wasn't even the one that went in. He's just the one that conveniently he was not. That window was already broken. You want to pull up the video and take a look at the cracked window?
So
I welcome you to do so.
You said cracked window, so he's the one who broke through the window with the riot shield. The Proud Boy.
Yeah. He finished breaking. He didn't even finish breaking the window because the window was still not accessible and somebody else pulled down the window. I go ahead and I challenge you and I say, pull up the video and we could discuss Dominic Pizzola.
And if he wants to, we can. So my question is when you tweeted out that you were proud of my boys in my country, okay?
Yes. At what time was that?
What were you referring there? You tell me. When you said
I was talking to the crowd. So let me listen. You could hit me for a lot of things, but the things that you're talking about, you can't. Right? I had direct communications with my guys via Telegram at the time. Right? So if I didn't want them to leave, why isn't there a message from me directly to them saying, "Don't fucking leave, just keep going"? I put that message out on Parler, which is similar to Twitter, right? To the public. I was celebrating it. If that's what I'm guilty of, then fucking lock me away for 22 years. But how the fuck are you going to tell me for tweeting when you've tweeted so much fucking worse shit that you should probably be in prison for, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then don't fucking leave.
The Proud Boys who were in first, right? You were tweeting out, "I'm proud of my boys in my country."
We've established that the Proud Boys weren't the first ones in. So we can clear that out of the thing.
Let Destiny finish now. Let Destiny finish.
So you knew that they were breaking in. You were proud of them for doing.
I did not know they were breaking in. I did not know they were breaking in. Okay, no, I didn't turn on the TV. I didn't turn on the TV.
I got the video.
Go ahead.
I grabbed the video.
Can you send it to me and I can play it?
I've DM'd it to you.
Yeah,
you can watch it.
Give me a second.
First guy, it goes by Red on Red Glasses. If you want to search the Sedition Hunter hashtag, the India.
Real Serious says, "Is that the R word helmet?" Nah, this is just my helmet now. I'm just gonna wear this. You know how like kids wear pajamas for too long, like they just wear like their favorite pajamas for like 3 or 4 days. That's what I'm gonna do with this helmet. I'm just gonna like put it on and keep it on for like 3 or 4 days. I'm gonna go to my my 20-year high school graduation wearing this thing.
Good looking fella.
Okay,
Red on Red Glasses.
Second.
They throw a 2x4 through the window first.
We'll see it in a moment. I'm juggling all my checking.
I can also throw this out there. There have been many attempts to get information from the government about who these individuals are, and little effort by the prosecution to identify these people. So I know Dominic as well. I did time with him. So I know for a fact he wouldn't be capable of planning an insurrection.
Okay, it's about a minute-long video we're going to watch. If you click on the watch stream, we can all watch together.
Can we start with the windows broken?
Okay.
Can everybody see that? It's cracked.
Well, I mean, the guy with the giant riot shield in front of it probably had something to do with that, right? Oh, what is it? Somebody said, "Is this a real helmet?" And the helmet stays on during sex, babe. Yeah, probably. But the helmet is just 3D printed. It's got like a 30% infill. So it's not that hardcore. I probably could break it, but I do think it's probably like bump worthy. So what I'm going to do is I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again because I'm like thinking out loud. I'm going to get the bike helmet pads. I'm going to pad out the back so it pushes back on my face a little bit. I'm going to pad the top so it sits a little bit higher on my head. I'm probably going to mount a chin strap in here. I'm not going to lie. And then that's probably all I'm going to do. I know people do cutouts sometimes, and then they put lights in here. I actually think that's kind of silly. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to 3D print the visor that goes on here. And then I'm going to get the airsoft mesh. And I'm going to put the airsoft mesh where the visor would go. That way, it That way I could like wear it in an airsoft setting. I could also take it to the range and wear it when I'm shooting my Halo pistol, my battle rifle, and my bolter. So that's the game plan. Sorry, I'm just like, I'm in awe of 3D printing technology. If somebody time traveled to 1997 and they told a younger version of me, hey man, you're going to have a robot in your house that's like a hot glue gun, but you can make anything out of the hot glue gun that you could possibly imagine. And what you're going to use it for is for armor for futuristic space soldiers. I would be like, that is the coolest shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. So, yeah. 3D printed from the tears of my enemies. Absolutely. Yeah. Print your own toys, nerd. The future is now. True. What is the FUD range officer going to say? Bold of you to assume that I'm going to a traditional range. I'm going to go to a range north of Lake Okeechobee that allows you to shoot tannerite and ballistic dummies and cow carcasses on their property. So that's where I'm going. Anyways, back to the content. My apologies. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. We did smash 2 goals today. Shout out to Christian Valeris from the Ashes, Fast and Bulbous. Christian Valeris with some oil there, got a $50 super chat. Audacity, Cusium Weird, Fell Runner, Charlie November, Jack Hanma, aka Batusai, Jeb Kush from the Ashes, C. Goch with the 20, Jen Winkler with the membership, Darth Panzer with the 25, Fell Runner with the 2, Vazraka with the gifted membership, Patriarch with a membership renewal, and Fell Runner with the 2. Thank you. Kings and Queens. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. My parasocial love you. Let's go.
Right there. Okay.
Yes.
Keep watching.
Okay.
There's 2x4.
This one.
So what's their argument? That he was he helped break in the window, but he was not the main one who broke into the window? Was that his argument? Because honestly, man, why don't you just own this shit? Like I get there's like criminal and civil penalties and social penalties for doing so, but why not just saying like, yeah, I believe Trump. I thought the elections were fraudulent. I thought our republic was overthrown. I thought that Democrats and law enforcement were complicit. The fact that Donald Trump has not proven his case in or out of court in the past 5 or 6 years is alarming to me. And while I still consider myself a part of the right wing and a Donald Trump supporter, I'm quite alarmed that my naivete was taken advantage of in order to engage in criminal action. Why not just say that? Because, I mean, that would at least be you standing on business. That would at least be you telling the truth. Whereas it feels like what you're asking us to do is to engage in what I would call cognitive dissonance, where we simultaneously have to believe that you believed the republic was under threat, but then we also have to believe that you believe that the republic was under threat, but you weren't going to do anything illegal in order to defend it. So how about instead of asking me to believe something that feels like cognitive dissonance, why don't you just tell the truth?
I don't know if I could use this.
And I think that's Dominic that are going in fourth, right? But he's the guy holding the shield.
So this
Yes,
guy right
indeed.
here, he's Dominic.
Yep. And it's
That is Dominic Pizzola. Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
Yep.
Yep.
So what are we proving? That Dominic is not that bad of a guy? Yeah, Your Honor, the window was cracked when I got there. Your Honor, I was just goofing. Your Honor, it was just a meme. Oh, wow. This is not great. It's not a great line of argumentation, in my opinion. Kuzium says that he wasn't the only one there, maybe. What does that change? If I participate in a gang murder, am I not complicit? If you participate in a gang rape, are you not complicit? Like what the fuck does there's other people there have to do with anything? Right?
One, two. Well, 1, 2.
Yes. What does this change?
2.
Well, if that guy could get over the fucking window.
2,
3.
3. He's
He's
a
technically
4.
fourth.
One of the 2.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
4 or 5.
But he.
And
he's
I want to hear.
absolutely
6, 7.
I want to hear Destiny what Destiny has to say about this.
Just to be clear, he's absolutely breaking that window, right?
Yes.
He's absolutely no. Listen, Dominic will tell you himself he's breaking that window. But I'd love to hear Destiny's take on this. I don't know. Now, do you feel like you're wrong about being the first?
I never said he was the first one in. I said that the Proud Boys were involved in.
No, you did.
Into the
You did
Capitol
say
building.
that we were the
I
first
didn't.
ones in.
I knew you guys were the first ones that broke through all the barriers.
Even it's immaterial to the broader argument that the Proud Boys were a part of the vanguard that broke into the Capitol. It's an immaterial argument. This changes nothing legalistically. It barely changes anything morally at all.
Which is true. The outer
That is
perimeter,
not
the
true.
second outer
You
gate.
want to go
and then
through the
the
first
window
one?
there.
We could do this again because
Sure, you can find the first
when
one
we're
if you want,
talking
sure.
about semantics, you want to talk about the president not saying a single word patriotically and peacefully and not directing people to be. But now here you're not using semantics, right? So now
I'm not using semantics. But was he a Proud Boy involved in breaking through the window for the
Yes,
first
he
people
was.
to enter the building?
Yes, and I've never
that's my
denied
claim.
that.
Correct.
Dominic
That's
doesn't
good.
even
All right.
deny that.
And this
So
happened,
now
at
let's
about,
go to
this
the
happened
first
right
breach.
after 2 o'clock. This happened
But
before Trump was
you
tweeted
had
that guys
so
should
much
remain
to
peacefully,
say
right?
about the first, second, and third breach. Go to the first breach. Was the Proud Boys the first ones to go through the first
If
breach?
you have video you want to send me to it. And we'll just watch it.
we
just
were
like
four.
yours.
No, he's the one that has the burden of proof right now because he's making the claim. So I'd like him to pull up the window.
That found you guilty
Go
and
ahead.
convicted you of seditious conspiracy, but yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of fucking liberal DC liberal DC jury, of course. Again, I hope one day, whenever you face your charges for your sexual assault and all the weird fucking kinky shit that you do, I hope that the people on that jury hate your fucking guts and put you in prison. And I hope you rot there for 22 years. And I hope that you change your mind about everything, but I doubt it.
That's not very nice, Enrique. I'm going to grab some water. I'll be right back. I'm just going to let it flow. This is probably the content for the day. I'm not going to lie. It's a, how do I phrase this? We do have World War debate, which I'm excited to get into. But considering we spent 2 hours fighting about 2 hours fighting about the other stuff, and then we also spent an hour so far covering this, I don't want to skip. I don't want to skip anything. You know what I'm saying? I kind of want to catch the good moments from this.
And I hope you change your mind about the justice system because you're out here simping for the fucking justice system.
I'm not simping
And
for
then
the
now
justice system. I think it's a
you
crime
have
that,
been
like,
simping for the
actual
justice
stuff,
system.
Human filth like you
Simping
guys
for the
are
justice
pardoned.
system
You
is
should be
saying, oh, well,
rotting
you
in
got,
jail.
you got,
Let Destiny,
Hold on,
hold on,
hold
let
on.
Destiny,
You
let
should be
Destiny and
rotting
Dev
under
go.
the
Destiny
jail.
and Dev, please. Destiny and Dev, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, I mean, we all know that Newsom's going to pardon you anyway, Destiny, so it's fine.
True base, my
Okay, so
That'll be
Dev,
great.
you showed us that video. What else are your thoughts here? And then I want to get.
Well, here I think Dev can take this response. But one guy was asking why were people at the White House or why were people at the Capitol? And he said there were multi-factors. They were there because Trump called them there.
They were there
Not for
because they
everybody, no.
believe that 2020 was stolen from them, even though it wasn't. Even though
Yep.
Biden actually did win 2020.
Because
Quite a
Trump started to
few-
lie. Yeah.
No, quite a few people, and I can name a myriad of them. Christina Kelso, Scott Fairland, many of them were there because they were angry about losing their businesses. And yeah, I mean, the election plays into that because they thought the lockdowns would continue more. But these are people who lived under blue states, and they were just there to have their voices heard. They went there with signs about COVID, mask mandates, vaccines. Not everybody there was a Trump supporter either, by the way. You know, you got to remember that when you have a large amount of people like that, you're going to get a cross section of American society. So it's not true.
Well, sure, but I mean, nobody really cares about the guy who went there to protest and just kind of stayed
Yeah.
outside, didn't get any trouble, went home. No one cares about them. People care about the ones who are riding.
I mean, you should when they get prosecuted too.
They didn't.
Yeah, they did though. That's
No,
the
they
problem.
didn't. They didn't. There was
Oh, okay, we
100,000
should go
people
So wait,
there.
so
You had-
hold on, wait, back up before we get into this naming off every individual, because every single time these guys get looked up, all of them were doing some fuck shit. But I understand the DC jury; it's all horrible, politically partisan prosecutions. why do you really think that if Trump, I don't know, I'm asked this because there's no good faith engagement here. If Trump hadn't called people there on J6, it would have been a few hundred people tops.
Bullshit. Vice did a whole they did a video walkthrough of the audience. They found 6 distinct different groups.
I'm also going to give December and November as an example. Trump didn't tell anybody in November, December to show up to DC, and we showed up in the thousands. As a matter of fact, I'd say that the November rally from November 14th was a lot. There was a lot more people attending that rally than they did on January 6th.
Just so I can just fact check real quick.
The Million MAGA March. I could be off. But regardless of the fact, it doesn't change the fact that the president did not tell anybody to show up in November, and they still showed up in mass. I remember actually with Bobby that's sitting right next to me, I remember sitting on Capitol Hill and looking down Constitution Avenue and seeing people shoulder to shoulder all the way to the White House.
Well, yeah, but even then,
earlier was that so many people.
So, like, I know what you're talking about, because Trump didn't even understand what was going on with the false elector plan until like early December. I get it. But all throughout November, you had like Ken Cheesebro talking about this. You had the First Amendment Praetorians that were talking about this. You had there was like the slow boil online of riling people up to get them to believe that there was something that could be done about this, that Trump could have these 7 slates of, frankly, false electors to come in and then save the day in the last minute. And this was it was built up online. It was built up in certain channels in certain spheres in DC. It eventually got to Trump's desk in early December, and that's when he started pushing it personally. But it still came from a location, and it came from the right wing.
So let me ask you something.
Actually being upset about the election.
Let me ask you something about Pence then. So you're saying that they lied to them and they couldn't. Let's say, so then why is Pence considered a hero from the left if he decided to certify the election results? What if Pence decided to go with Trump's plan? Would that make a difference?
He'd be a traitor?
Then he wouldn't be considered.
He'd be a traitor, but wouldn't. But then there is a chance of something happening, right? There is a chance of going ahead and not certifying the election. Correct.
Yeah. If the insurrection.
So having that hope, having that hope that Mike Pence would do something would motivate people to try to protest.
Yeah, correct.
I truly believe. Look,
you're describing an insurrection. They would hope that their pressure there would force people like.
No, it would be illegal.
It would be illegal. It's not legal. It would be illegal.
It would be a legal solution.
It's not legal.
Where's the language inside?
Real Serious says, how do you feel about what Tim Miller said, that if the Renee shooting was justified, then January 6th likely should have been a bloodbath with more insurrectionists getting shot? Yeah, descriptively true. Now, I don't trust Tim Miller to understand violence at all. So I kind of, he probably means that in the opposite way. He probably means... That's so funny. That's so funny that we mean it in opposite ways. So if Renee Good getting shot is justified, then more insurrectionists should have been shot on January 6th, descriptively. I agree with that. But he's saying that because he wants to say that Renee should not have been shot, whereas what I'm saying is more insurrectionists could have been justifiably shot on January 6th. Because, by the way, like, immediate threat of death or great bodily harm is just, you have a reasonable belief that either death to yourself or great bodily harm to yourself or others is imminent. And that, dude, I don't know what 500 people baying for blood, slamming on windows, screaming they're going to, hang Mike Pence, breaking windows, busting into places that they know that they're not supposed to legally be. Yeah, 100%. Like, whoever the Ashley Babbitt was the one who went through the window, but there was somebody who smashed and went, removed the glass from the window in the first place. Whoever was doing that, if the same cop or a different cop had walked up to the window and put a round into that whoever was breaking the window's chest, I would have said was a good shoot all day, because I think they have a reasonable belief of imminent threat of death or great bodily harm to themselves or others, that person is facilitating by being at the head of a riotous, violent mob trying to break into a place they know they're not authorized to be in order to get access to politicians that they have no right to detain. So, yeah, Darth Bandit says, me getting swarmed by 8 protesters who were stealing my equipment. This will be fine. Yeah, so weirdly enough, real serious, I'm happy you brought that up. I agree with Tim Miller descriptively. We're just making it opposite points. He's saying that Renee Good should not have been shot. I'm saying more January 6ers arguably could have been shot. So that's funny. That's funny.
Hold on, one at a time. Hold on, one at a time.
I need to fix this right here.
I understand, but let Destiny finish, then you can fix it, and then I want to hear from Grid.
Yeah,
that's
go ahead.
and I
What you're
see
talking about is an insurrection.
Go ahead.
I'm talking
them unilaterally overthrowing 7 states worth of votes to pick their own electors would be depriving the American people of their right to vote.
But you're not. But you didn't argue with me when I asked if Mike Pence can do that, and that is a legal solution.
Not
If
legally.
Mike,
He cannot legally do it.
He legally cannot.
So he couldn't not certify the election or refuse to certify the election that day.
Correct.
Yeah, this entire argumentation is based off of the Eastman memo. And the Eastman memo is based off of the 1960 something election of JFK. And I'm going to try to describe it, and somebody else can try to correct me if I get any of the details wrong. But Nixon and JFK were running in 60 or 64. I forget which one it was. Sorry, I'm doing shoulder shrugs while I'm talking. Good stuff. So anyways, Hawaii was doing a recount, and they believed, I think they had originally gone for Nixon, but they believed that with a recount, it was going to go to JFK. And so what they did is they said, okay, well, we're going to create a second slate of electors and submit both. And as a result, we think that ultimately what's going to happen is JFK is going to win the recount. And so they'll have both slate of electors, and we want them to take the JFK, but realistically, the Nixon ones have been already certified, and we don't know which ones the Congress is going to choose, right? Well, the reason why the Hawaiian alternate slate of electors was not criminally prosecuted for submitting an alternate slate of electors was because they were correct, and it wasn't outcome determinative. Hawaii only has 4 electoral college votes, I think, maybe even less. And then, so it wasn't outcome determinative. It was not going to do the election. And then also, once the recount was done, JFK was the winner in Hawaii. So Eastman, a lawyer, came up with this entire argumentation that because the vice president was counting the election, because he had to make a choice between the Hawaii slate of electors, that arguably the vice president was not a ceremonial role who simply counts the certified election results, but he actually has the ability to discern between certified results and reject or not reject results from various states. And so what they were calling on Mike Pence to do, which Mike Pence refused to do, that Bill Barr quit because he thought it was such a fucking crazy scheme to begin with, was they wanted Mike Pence to reject the slates of electors that were already certified from the states and say there's ongoing investigations into outcome determinative voter fraud. Therefore, since I am the head of the person who counts the elections, these are rejected and Donald Trump is the winner. Then, if Mike Pence was uncomfortable unilaterally deciding that Donald Trump was the winner, they wanted to put it to the House of Representatives for a vote. And the House of Representatives had a slight Republican majority. And so as a result, the House of Representatives could vote in Donald Trump. And then I think the third option, there was a third option. There was a backup. There was the Mike Pence plan. There was the House of Representatives plan. And then there was a third plan. And I think the third plan was effectively we're just going to do it. And then we're going to let them challenge us in court and we're going to fight it out. But we will have so much institutional momentum that Donald Trump will continue to be able to be president after this date. And once again, DOJ had 40% of their personnel quit in protest. Bill Barr quit in protest. Mike Pence rejected the plan whole cloth. And then the riot And the protest was the last ditch effort by Donald Trump in order to maintain power. And Enrique Tarrio, the guy in the brown hoodie right now, he was convicted for like 22 years, somebody said in chat. He was convicted of, I think they had an armed quick reaction force. They had like 10 or 20 guys who were off site, who were armed in case things went sideways. And then they also had like, I think he said 50. They had 50 Proud Boys on site who were a part of the riot. And they were some of the first people to break the windows and some of the first people into the Capitol. And so Enrique Tarrio arguing like, oh, well, my guys, they weren't the first into the Capitol. They were the fourth into the Capitol. That actually changes none of the calculus whatsoever. It changes absolutely nothing about what I've said over the past 5 minutes. And realistically, I think what I said earlier, where the Donald Trump sycophants need to admit that they were duped or that they're suspicious that they were being duped, the main reason why they don't do it is because they know that's where their support came from. The January 6ers who have been pardoned, they are supported politically, they are supported financially, they are supported rhetorically by the Trump cult. And so they can't bite the hand that feeds, even though their argumentation makes absolutely no fucking sense. Wasn't it seditious conspiracy? I think so. Yeah, I think it was. I think that's what he got charged with and convicted of and sentenced to 22 years for.
Correct.
Yeah.
And by the way, like I could take into account if that black flag tweet was in November and January 6th was January 6, 2021, and the other one was November 2020. I could say, oh, okay, it's the day of the election. He's being a little bit spicy, whatever. But at the same time, if you say over and over and over again, the country's been stolen, there's outcome determinative election fraud, we have all these lawyers that are working on it, Mike Pence is failing the Republic of the United States by certifying these false elections, then why wouldn't people treat that as an existential threat to the Republic of the United States? And in my opinion, Donald Trump got Ashley Babbitt killed. He may not have pulled the trigger, but he created the political environment in which Ashley Babbitt was shot. So, Donald Trump's going to have to answer for that. If there's a God, he's going to have to answer for that to God, amongst maybe the child rape and a few other things. Sun Patriarch says, you guys be good. I have a meeting in 14 minutes. Same Patriarchs. Thank you for hanging out. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. We have smashed through 2 goals today. We got 130 people cross-platform. Liking is free. Engage with chat. There's lots of cool, interesting, funny people there. Super chats, $2, $5, $10. If you got a chip in. It helps out. Everything helps. And then memberships. What happens with the membership is if you get one yourself or if you gift it to another person, then they basically get a question at the end of 30 days and it says, do you want to renew your membership? And so they'll pay $5, $10, whatever a month if they want to let it ride. Whereas if they don't want to do the membership, then they can just cancel the membership. So yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then just
to be clear, do you grant them that, Enrique, that not in a legal way, in no legal manner, could Mike Pence certify or not refuse to certify the election?
Yes. Listen, I give him that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying, my argument isn't that. My argument is that people thought, we're getting in the minds of these people, that people thought that Mike Pence was able to not certify the election.
Because
maybe
Trump
Tim has more insight if that's able, or maybe he disagrees
Trump
with me
told
there.
them that. Yes, they think that because Trump.
Well, if you guys want to change, I'm happy to change. I know that Enrique Tarrio leaves at about an hour, and people were saying that Dev had a good dunk before he leaves. So I could fast forward to the last like 5 or 10 minutes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then if you guys want to change up in the next like 10 or 20 minutes or so, we could give World War I or World War debate a shot. But I think that we wouldn't have enough time to do a World War debate segment. But we can take a look. So I kind of leave that up to you. I honestly thought the second half was better. Okay, well, I just fast forward it. I'll fast forward it 20 minutes or so, and we'll take it from there. Darth Panthers just don't change on my account. Honestly, no, I'm with you because, yeah, we'll do World War debate tomorrow. Change to when Josiah shows up. Let me do this though, because I don't want to miss Dev starting the dunk, and I see green lines around Dev, and we're about 20 minutes into it. So I want to see Dev pop off. I want to see the last 10 or 20 minutes of the debate, and then I'll find Josiah. That'll be the content for today, and then we'll do World War debate tomorrow. So there we go.
He literally said that it was Trump who was out there saying that the election was rigged, and he did all of this, and he put it out there. But it wasn't him. It was Fox News. It was CNN. CNN was covering it. I mean, this is dumb, Destiny. Trump didn't do it, but Sidney Powell did it.
It came
from
Sidney
Powell reached
World War debate. I'm not sure who sponsored it, but the Crucible Boys invited a bunch of libs to debate in Atlantic City. And so Kyla, Pisco, Ryan Mulally, and a few other people went up to Atlantic City, and they did an IRL debate. So should be fire content.
20 million people? No, Fox News does. Okay. And Fox News reported on it.
Okay. Trump was the lie. Dev, go ahead.
So you guys are asking for examples of when Trump himself did it, right? Okay. Do you guys know what happened at the White House on December 19th, 2020?
He met with Sidney. He met with Sidney Powell, Mike Lindell. No, another attorney. Yes, and that night was when he tweeted, "Be there, be wild."
On the 19th, there was a 1-hour meeting between Trump, Eastman, Pence, around 20 people from Congress, and about a dozen senators, where they planned out what they were going to do on January 6th. Everything was laid out in that meeting on December 19th. And by the way, that's the reason why
the first time that they made a story about election interference or potential election fraud was that the first time we heard about it?
Not the first time. No. But it was the big meeting.
It wasn't Fox News. It wasn't CNN. It wasn't the BBC. It wasn't any of these other news agencies who were finding irregularities with the election.
For when Trump did it,
there wasn't all of these news agencies whose job it is to cover the news who were finding the irregularities, and Trump pointing to it and going, "Hey, we should look into this." That's not what happened.
No, that's not what happened.
That's not what happened. Then you live in a very special kind of world.
Let Destiny, what did happen?
Reality is people from Trump's group. Remember the Kraken? I know you guys like the mind wipe and memory hole. All the stupid shit these people said.
Oh yeah, I remember the Kraken. That didn't happen when
evidence of voter fraud, and they presented this to state legislatures and to city councils and on TV and on Trump's fucking social media. And then the media looked into it.
That was months after the story broke in the news. Destiny.
No.
It was literally a month and a half after the first iterations of election fraud. The Kraken wasn't even mentioned. It wasn't mentioned in November, right after the election. It was late December when the Kraken was going to be released.
Before the election even happened, man.
Yes.
Okay. Here, I have a question for Mr. Tarrio. There. What's he doing? Is he walking in a lobby?
He's talking to somebody. He's in a lobby.
I don't know what he's doing, man. But
that's not a green screen. He's in a lobby.
He's actually somewhere. No, give him what you got, Dev. Ask him the question. He's here.
Are you back? Yeah, you.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. No, I have a question for you, because earlier in the debate, you said something along the lines of that Trump didn't tell you to go there, and he didn't tell you to do what you did, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I decided to go look this up. I didn't want to say it without confirming it, because that's not the kind of guy I am, but I decided to go look it up. You do realize that in your trial, the defense you gave was that Trump told you to go there, right?
Oh no, Dev, no. Officer Dassey, did you see the clip of Gavin McInnes walking up to Grace Thorpe at the debate and harassing her? No, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. All right, let's see how old Enrique wiggles his way out of this one. That would be alarming. Listen, guys, I get it that it's like an understated thing, but like, if Enrique Tarrio was saying like, no, nobody encouraged us to do crazy shit. We weren't there to doing crazy shit. We were just cute. We were just kawaii. We were just like, ooh, woo. We were just like hanging out, bro. And then Dev's like, hold on. part of your criminal defense at trial where you swore under oath, then your defense was that Trump ordered you to do it. All right, let's see how he tries to wiggle out.
No, that was on the closing arguments, and it was very.
It was in the closing arguments. Hold on. Okay, let's give him some time. Let's give him some space. Yeah, it was kind of more like a vibe.
Very clear. If you go ahead and you go through the transcripts of it, we're saying that we were there because of the event at the ellipse, not because the president told me to stop the certification of the election. Those are two different things.
What your attorney said was Trump told these people that the election was stolen. Trump told them to go there on January 6th, and it was Trump with his speech on January 6th that unleashed this mob on the Capitol. That's what your lawyer said.
Okay, and
I understand the distinction, but I still think that this is self-sweeping from Enrique. Like, dude, you have to own one or the other, okay? Either you genuinely believe that the election was stolen and therefore the republic was dead and it was your right, not even your right, it was your duty as a patriotic American in order to help Donald Trump like pursue true justice on behalf of the republic, or you're an insurrectionist piece of shit who didn't care what the truth was and you just wanted to overthrow the Republic of the United States for your cultist leader. There's really only two options here. The third option of, yeah, I went, but I was just joking, doesn't really work.
If you keep reading through the context of that, he's saying that that event being there, right, and switching over to and saying, hey, we're going to go to the Capitol and I'm going to go through and say peacefully and patriotically, made everybody go over there, right? And that's what happened. It was a riot. Look, nobody disagrees. It was a riot. It was a riot that gone bad. But to go and say that it's an insurrection, it's bullshit. Come on, dude. Like things go bad and it went bad. And look, there was a big no. Trump did not.
I get it, man. I get it. Things go bad, but
Trump said on December 19th that there was going to be a rally. I was already at the November one. I was at the December one, and I wasn't going to miss a January one.
Can you answer the question real quick though, Dev? Can you ask it again, just directly? Just I want to get
because Trump did tell you to go there. You did say that.
Trump put together. So Trump put together. Trump said to be there on January.
Come on, bro. It was a fiery but mostly peaceful and patriotic protest, bro.
January 6th. Yes, I was there.
Okay,
I don't think anybody would disagree.
Cool. Okay.
He put the event together. He didn't tell me to go.
No voices in your head or anything?
Yes, there's no voices in my head telling me. Trump wasn't in my head telling me to go.
That whole Kraken thing, that started in November. Sidney Powell was fired in December by Trump.
Just real quick. Jesiah from Pondering Politics for $10 says, a Wick fact-checked the fella in the upper right-hand corner. Powell publicly talked about releasing the Kraken on November 17th. So there you go.
So if we know that Trump was calling people there at least a month ahead of time or around a month ahead of time, if we knew that he was telling people that the election had been stolen, that we had to fight like hell or we're going to lose our country. And then he sent a whole bunch of people.
Because that's what people believed at the time. Yes. And I still believe that.
Because he told them, yes.
Because it's true.
So, yes, because he told them.
What do you believe?
All right. So what? And then a riot just happens to break out, I guess, since we're saying who could have possibly seen that.
Well, no, listen.
And then a riot breaks out. And then a riot breaks out. Why is it not until after Ashley Babbitt is shot and killed that Donald Trump finally tells people to go home?
You mean the person that you celebrated her death?
Why would he?
Short Stack Goblin says, what the F is Connor wearing? I'm wearing an ODST helmet, bro. A 3D printed ODST helmet. I'm also going to start working on the armor momentarily.
Him and Giuliani be making phone calls to Congress and telling them to change their electoral certification votes. Why wouldn't Trump call on the national?
Because they believe it was stolen and that they should. That's called lobbying. It happens every fucking day.
So
yes, you lobby somebody to change their vote. Welcome to Congress. Why is there a whip? Why is there a whip in Congress? Why is there a whip in somebody that counts votes? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's like you don't know how the fuck this thing works, and you're so retarded because you know exactly how it works, and you're playing the fucking part. You're fucking
you thought
an idiot.
You thought the election was stolen. You guys showed up.
Yes, I did think that the election was stolen, period. The election was stolen, period. Period. By you people. By you people. You people stole the election. That's it. That's what it is. You promoted the Steele dossier. You went ahead and you fucking went ahead and you demonized Trump supporters for so fucking long.
There will be order in this court. There will be order in this court.
In any of the cases, any of them. You lost every single
Ask the judge. Ask the judge.
Order in the court.
$10 from Ace Chrome Cheetah to say kind of ironic, since for Tarrio, I'm sorry, I know I'm mispronouncing your name. Forgive me. For Tarrio to accuse Destiny of simping for the Justice Department, since there's evidence that he had been an informant for federal and local law enforcement. Were you an informant for federal and local law enforcement?
Yes, I took down an entire sex trafficking ring in 2013. Yes, I put 30 people in fucking prison because they were a bunch of fucking pedophiles and sex traffickers. And if anybody has a problem with that, then I tell you what they're protecting, right? They're protecting fucking pedophiles and sex traffickers. So yes, I am very proud that I put 30 fucking people in prison and 2 of them are serving life terms. And I do it again. And every time that I find somebody that does some type of sexual assault shit or some sex crimes, like my buddy up there, Destiny, we'll put them in prison. And you know what happens to people like Destiny in prison? It's not nice. It's not nice. It's not nice.
I think you're misunderstanding, by the way.
You got 2 fucking civil lawsuits. You better hope you never go to prison. You know what they do to sex offenders in prison?
When they say 36, probably shit that you enjoy, I'm sure. When they said that 36 feds then were at the January 6th insurrection, you would have been counted among those, right? If you would have actually stayed overnight?
I mean, I guess if you want to count me in there, yes. But I did not inform. I went to trial. I did not inform on anybody on January 6th. You know what I did? I strapped my fucking balls in and I sat there with my fucking brothers and I went to trial and I got offered a sweetheart deal to lie about the president and I took 22 in the face. And you'd never do that for any of your friends. You'd fucking throw them under the bus.
You did the Roger Stone
You'd throw them under the bus first chance you
didn't say shit. That's crazy. So did you just admit that you had...
Dan Winkler says, what is that guy's name? The hat guy that looks like a January 6th criminal influencer dude? No, that is the January 6th criminal influencer dude. It's Enrique Tarrio. ENRIQUE space TARRIO. In order to give you guys some context, just in case anybody's coming in, Enrique Tarrio is a gentleman who, so Gavin McInnes started the Proud Boys. The other one, I don't know the other one. The other one somebody said was an unironic Nazi. I have no idea who that guy is. But Enrique, so Gavin McInnes was a guy who helped found Vice News and Vice, which were media companies that went overseas and actually did some pretty decent work in the late thousands, early tens, and they became like a pretty recognizable, strong brand. Well, I think Gavin McInnes got bought out and pushed out of Vice by Sean, something like that. There's the guy that everybody knows who's kind of he's a little bit thick. He's got a beard. He kind of looks like the Marvel guy, except for he doesn't have curly hair. I forget the Marvel guy's name, but there's a guy who's responsible for Sliders and for Marvel. Jon Favreau. He kind of looks like a almost as fat but more muscular Jon Favreau with straight hair instead of curly hair. That's the guy who's been in charge of Vice for the last 10 years and I think ran the company into the ground. So Vice as a brand has been run into the ground, but it actually carried some social cachet for the past 10 years. Gavin McInnes created his own media company, but he also created the Proud Boys, which he viewed as an anti-Antifa libertarian militia. They didn't always carry weapons. I don't think they often carried weapons, but they went in yellow and black polos, yellow and black hats. Yeah, Shane Smith. There you go. They wore like a uniform, and it was basically their job in order to go to pro-Republican, pro-free speech protests and get into fights with Antifa. So let me show you real quick and see if it's Shane Smith. Shane Smith, Vice. Yeah, Vice. Here we go. So I'm being a little bit rude to Shane Smith and to Jon Favreau. I'm stereotyping fat guys from the Northeast. But this to me, if you'll consult your screen, Shane Smith has a giant tattoo and a he's kind of like, you can tell that he's strong, but he's also kind of fat. And this gives me the same vibes as Jon Favreau cooking movie, where like, yeah, he's like a little bit fat or whatever, but he's also like covered in tattoos, and you probably wouldn't want to fist fight him. Yeah, Bert Kreischer type. Yeah, Bert Kreischer. Like, you know that they're fat and they probably have no cardio, but you also wouldn't want to fist fight them because they would just take their meaty fucking paws and beat you to death with their meaty paws. I get that vibe from Bert Kreischer, Shane Smith, and Jon Favreau. Okay. And so they're all in that build category. But anyways, Gavin McInnes, weirdly enough, founded the Proud Boys. And then the Proud Boys got into a fight in New York, and they were criminally charged under RICO. So they used a criminal organizational statute meant for breaking up the mob in order to attack the Proud Boys. And effectively what they told Gavin McInnes, according to him, is that if you don't walk away and disavow the organization, we are going to treat you as the figurehead of a criminal enterprise, and we are going to go extra hard against you and everyone who's a member of the Proud Boys organization, including the people who we are prosecuting in New York again, or right now. And so, analyzing the utilitarian good, Gavin McInnes took a step back from the Proud Boys, and then Enrique Tarrio took over. And Enrique Tarrio, I think, is a Miami-based South or Central American guy, first or second generation immigrant, but he is pretty hostile to communists. And he was a Trump simp and participated in the January 6th insurrection. And like I said, was convicted of seditious conspiracy for 22 years. And he was pardoned by Donald Trump. And so that's kind of what we're fighting about as well. Chubby Point strikes again. How? Why? Because I'm eating delicious puppy chow lemon cookies, or because I'm referring to a series of fat men as all the same person? Oh, Real Serious is no offense, but I think Shane Smith looks more like you than he looks like Jon Favreau. Yes. And Kavarix the Black says, I'm sorry I'm behind. Did Tarrio just admit to being a child sex trafficking informant for the FBI? Yes. He just said that he had friends who were involved in, or associates or something. He had some associates who were involved in some kind of like criminal trafficking sex ring, and he snitched on all of them and got them serious time. So, yeah.
That stuff that you could have given about Donald Trump or Roger Stone or whoever the fuck.
I don't know. I thought you were versed in all of this. I thought you were versed in all of this. I thought you were the professional. You read shit on the internet, right? Yes, they try to make me fucking lie. Yes, yes, yes. You know what? I hope one day that you get persecuted for your fucking views and you go to prison, because people like you don't survive prison. People like you don't survive prison.
Because I'm too fucking retarded to fall for fake news on.
Unfortunately, I said this to Grassroots Henchman the other day in reference to German people. The listen, I love libs. You know, half of my audience is libs, right? But I think that if I had to bet on my survival in an apocalypse situation or a prison situation, I'm siding with the chuds. Like all day, because no offense, like maybe like 2 or 3 of you could survive like hardcore, like rape, murder, prison. I think 70% of you would fold like towels. You would fall apart like wet tissue paper. So no offense. Like I want to hang out with you guys. I want to build a civilization with you. I want to do cool things and, you know, smoke J's and paint Warhammer miniatures and roll dice and talk about the science fiction future with you. I want to do that. But if we're going to prison, then I'm going to hang out with my chud buds.
Put them inside your mouth and you'll be found in the shower.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll be found in the shower.
Hold on, we gotta take it from we gotta take it from 11. We gotta bring it down to like an 8. Okay, just that's all I'm saying.
Okay. So I want my channel. When you want 11 again.
I want my channel to remain monetized. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
I mean, mine too.
What you just said, because you mentioned that you
monetize. Go ahead, Deb. Go ahead, Deb, please.
You had put away some pedophiles in 2013, which you got, good job, by the way. Fair enough. With that being said, why do you still support Trump, considering that he's obviously in the Epstein files?
There's a red herring. What the fuck? Let's get back to the topic. Dev or Destiny, can either of you guys answer, like, out of the thousands of people that showed up that day, can you prove that?
Well, that would have been a great topic. Come on, man. That's a dodge. That's a dodge. What do Jews do in prison? I think they pretend to be Hispanic or white, depending on how swarthy they are.
They were all there because Trump directed them there. Do you have any proof of that?
Because I got a whole lot of proof. A lot of people were talking about the election being stolen and didn't need Trump to tell them shit.
How could we possibly prove that? What kind of proof are you looking for?
There you go.
That's your allegation. Hold on. You made the
Sorry,
claim.
guys, I'm
It's on
back.
you.
I got disconnected.
Well, so if a guy were to say, I want 10 people to come to my house
Don't ask me a
tomorrow night.
question.
Okay. I thought I was being spicy by saying that Jews would pretend to be Hispanic or white, depending on how swarthy they are. Sacred Snow went crazy, and then he said that if a Jewish person goes to prison, they run the commissary. That is wild. I half disavow. That's pretty funny.
Answer my question.
I'm answering, you fucking retard. Let me finish speaking,
Destiny
okay?
respond.
No, that's not an answer. That's not a fucking answer. Ask the question. Yes, prove it's yes or no. You get yes or no.
Shut the fuck up and let me finish. If I say 10 people come to my house tomorrow, and 10 people show up at my house, maybe 11 or 12, maybe somebody brings a friend, and you say, can you prove, better than 10 dudes come into your mouth, you disgusting fuck, okay? You're telling me that I can't prove, how am I supposed to prove that every single person that showed up was there because and shit, maybe on camera,
let him answer the, hold on.
Right?
Let him respond to your question,
okay?
and then you can respond.
Okay? Let me ask the question. It's not crazy. I know it sucks. Dealing in the world of fact is hard for you motherfuckers, okay? How are you possibly supposed to prove that every single person shows up because, like, Donald Trump, he announced the event and people showed up for the event and he was a speaker for the event and then they went there protesting under his name? I think it's safe to say that the vast majority of them, 99%, showed up because of him.
Is that an unreasonable?
But I didn't. Hold on. My invitation did not say insurrection.
Just real quick.
My invitation said, "Hey, come to a rally."
Just real quick. I want to make sure Kung Fu Joe, did that answer your question? Why or why not?
Fuck no.
Okay.
No, it didn't. That was a total fucking dodge.
You know what?
In that case, Renee Good deserves to get
very straightforward.
Kung Fu Joe, I'll answer for you.
Right, Destiny?
I'll give you
because your people are hyping up this whole ICE thing. So by your own account, Renee Good, it was good that she got shot in the face, that she deserved it, right?
Why would I say that?
Because of how you framed everything right now is, well, the president told everybody to go there, but he never pointed at anybody. But now you're demonizing ICE, and now the same thing happened on the other side.
Yeah, I wish I was there. I wish I was there. I would have been like, yep. Renee got killed under the current escalations of force that are legal standards in the United States, but also by that very same legal standard, cops in the Capitol should have butchered dozens more January 6ers. I would have owned it. I would have owned it.
Because you said the same thing about Ashley Babbitt. You said the same thing about Ashley Babbitt.
Was trying
so you know what?
So you know what? Where there were congressmen at the other end.
Well, Renee Good tried to run over an ICE agent, and she got popped in the face.
He was trying to escape the scene. It's very obvious.
She got popped in the face 4 times trying to run over.
Very obvious.
All right, I'm going to let them run. It is getting spicy. Unless there's like a specific moment, though, it does feel like everybody's kind of getting like anarchic. And I kind of want to find Josiah. I want to see I want Josiah to come in and throw some elbows. So I'm going to let it play, but I'm going to let
you. She wasn't even armed. At least the other one was armed with a fucking Honda.
Babbitt was trying to get away from an Antifa member named Zachary Alam. That's why she punched him in the face before going through the window.
That's really?
Yeah, really. His name is Zachary Alam. Yeah, he was an Antifa member. He broke the window that she crawled through. She was trying to get away from him.
And she was forced the entire way. I heard there were 3 Antifa people that carried her all the way to the front of that protest. And they were all pushing her through that window. That's crazy, bro. That's insane. How many Antifa? It's so crazy that we've got thousands of different angles of video footage and everything else. And the best thing you could do is this Zach dude and Ray Epps. It's crazy how many instigators there were that just aren't on camera for some reason. It's crazy that Enrique Tarrio here never mentioned anything about an instigator forcing the Proud Boys to go there. Isn't that kind of weird? It's kind of crazy, huh?
You can stop freaking out, and I can address the Antifa thing. Landon Copeland, an Antifa member, he actually gave a signed confession saying there were hundreds of Antifa there that he met with before.
Wait, who?
Landon Copeland.
No, who the fuck asked retard? This has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
That's so mean. That's so mean. Who? Answers earnestly. No, who asked? So rude. So rude. Okay, I'm going to jump to Josiah. No offense. I appreciate them throwing bows. I'm happy. Okay, so let me summarize it so far. Let me see if I can summarize it. Enrique Tarrio wants us to hold the cognitive dissonance that simultaneously the people who participated in January 6th were listening to Trump, believing the election was stolen, the republic was over, Vice President Mike Pence had the right to do what Trump wanted them to do. And so as a result, it was peacefully and patriotically go to the Capitol, pressure Mike Pence in order to vacate the votes because we have all these fraudulent things going on. And, you know, the vice president has the not just symbolic authority over the election, he has true authority. Short Fat Otaku says, no, you'll miss my Maglocks throwback. All right, SFO, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Quick show, though, okay? We've smashed 2 goals. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. We do have 1 more goal up and running right now, and we got 45 minutes left on it. So if you got super chats or memberships to share, please do so. Also, bear in mind, I'm going to be live tomorrow, and that's when I'm live on my home channel, and that benefits me a little bit more. Yeah, Short Fat Otaku says, wait, I'll get the timestamp. Okay, get the timestamp. Okay.
To the Capitol.
So you were there because of Trump.
Well, I was there because I wanted to have the protest. But you know, I understand.
Didn't you spend 40 fucking minutes like joining with your teammates saying that there was like multifarious reasons why people were there that had nothing to do with
multifaceted, not multifarious. Boom, you misspoke, Josiah.
Well, hold on, you're being a little disingenuous. I'm not one of those people. I named some people who went there to protest COVID or to have a sit-in or anything like that. But I went there because I wanted to have a protest, and that's what my phone video shows.
And what were you protesting?
I believe that I was protesting a stolen election.
So you were worried about election integrity. All right. So I don't think you know what you're talking about. I think you're trying to rewrite reality in real time.
I think you're imputing motives that don't exist.
My question to you is, if you're so concerned about election integrity and you just explained that was why you were there, have you ever been concerned about election integrity in any election other than 2020, like the elections that Trump won? Or do you think voter fraud exists in elections where Trump loses?
Yeah, Bush Gore is a good example, but I was too young to vote.
Great example.
Okay, that's great. That was what, 24 years ago. I'm asking about Trump. Ever since Trump has been in play, he won in 2020.
I don't have to worry about it because literally every single time Trump runs for anything, people are going to.
I'm not talking to you, asshole. I'm talking to Tim. Hey, sweetheart. I'm talking to Tim.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
Spicy Josiah. All right, 2-12-12. SFO says he has a sweet moment. So we're gonna go to 2-11-30, and we'll take it from there.
I cursed off police on the outside after they were spraying people. I said, the revolution won't be televised, cunt. Yeah, I did.
Okay, and then were you telling other people to continue going into the Capitol?
I think I was talking about an actual revolution. You think I was referencing something from the civil rights era?
Were you challenging other people to go into the building?
No, I didn't challenge people to go into the building. What does that even mean? No.
Encouraging people to go into the building, asking people to go into the building, telling people to advance on the Capitol? No?
Well, that came from an NCIS recording where I was talking shit drunk a week after the fact to my friend, who I thought was my best friend, but NCI strapped a wire on. I was talking shit. That didn't happen.
Okay. But you just were in 2 minutes after the breach, walking around with a flag, making statements to Capitol Police saying things like a revolution won't be televised.
By the way, this is why telling the truth is so much easier, guys. Can I just remind you of the Mark Twain quote? The reason why I never lie is that way I don't have to remember anything. This guy has to remember what actually happened, what he's been recorded as saying by an informant around him, what he's told his lawyer, what he is allowed to say publicly that won't get him into further trouble. You understand, just like saying the truth is a lot easier than any of that shit. Just tell the truth. Just tell the truth and live as though everybody knows what you're doing, right?
I was on the outside towards the scaffolding where a cop was mocking me and making mocking gestures towards me because.
Oh, so you were already outside on the scaffolding. So you were near all of the initial breaching, and you had no idea that you guys weren't supposed to be there. So there was a cop outside on the scaffolding where you knew people were, and then you went in through the crowd and into the building.
That's near the initial breaching.
That's
was not near the initial breaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy that you can't listen. I wasn't near the initial
crazy
breaching.
that you were so close to all of the no clue. You were just being carried along with the crowd. It's insane.
I do have just one question for you. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I say now. You should tell the truth. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Now I can't believe that. Now.
True. Watching too much South Park, bud.
Tim, I have one question. This is just for me personally. Okay. What are the strength of the maglock doors in the Capitol building?
So I actually know where you're going with this, and you're actually right. I actually did some prep on this. I watched your previous debates. Those doors are. There may be some magnetic element to it, but yes, I know that it's a fire lock. If you push it, yeah. If you push onto those doors and you hold on to them, they'll open up. That's not.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Oh,
yeah, man, I would say to provide some other context, the man who does that, I'm not alluding to him being some Fed or anything. He's a man named George Tenney, and he was in a previous stream I've seen you guys on. It was alleged that he was probably talking to another rioter. He was actually talking to Capitol Police on the level above. There's a crosswalk above, and we don't.
So, Dev, I want to let this cook, but has it been asserted in previous debates and conversations that there's no way that people could have gotten in because the maglock was, just impossible to breach, and yet what had happened was if you actually hold on to the door, because I think I know what you're talking about. So it's basically like a double door with a push bar. And so if you push it, then it's locked. But if you push and hold, then it takes 5 seconds and then it auto unlocks. Is that it?
I don't have the audio, but in George Tenney's trial testimony, he says that he was speaking to the police and they informed him on how to open that door. And there is CCTV, again, no audio, showing one of the white shirt officers right in that same area. So that did happen. I agree, though, and you are correct. Magnetic thing, that was some early, I'm not going to say disinformation, but that was an early rumor. Even my lawyer believed that. My lawyer represented one of the Oath Keepers as well. So that was something that people believed. It's not a real good talking point, though. It's not really relevant.
Well, yeah, I mean, it came from the Twitter account called Swank for America, who was a lawyer for the Oath Keepers. So that guy probably just made it up and then it spread around. But
SFO says, yeah, there was a 7-hour huge debate on Destiny's channel previously, and like 2 hours of it was spent arguing maglocks with Artemis because it became a DGG meme. Actually, you were on that panel, but you left before the maglocks bit. Yeah, guys, this is where I really want, if there's any Trump sympathetic or MAGA sympathetic people in my audience, I know there's probably only 2 or 3 of you, but once you have a debunked talking point, let's say that there is something that is just like critical to the line of argumentation. And so, like, for instance, the maglocks, like, oh, it was a Capitol Police officer who let us in because the maglocks are not capable of being overridden. They're very difficult, blah, 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 blah. But then somebody says, no, actually, you can just press and hold this button for 5 seconds. And then see you, Darth Panzer. Have a good one. So anyways, no, actually it was incredibly easy. And we actually have this video of these people who are breaking in, right? Then at that point, if you're a viewer, because somebody is pointing out that oftentimes with MAGA supporters, they'll just pivot to the next talking point. That has to create some level of cognitive dissonance where if your political tribe is talking confidently about a talking point that then's disproven, that should invite more scrutiny from you when you're evaluating information. And this is the same thing with like liberals, for instance, or whatever. No offense, parasocial love, et cetera, et cetera. But what I find oftentimes with the DGG people, or with Josiah even, with Josiah's audience, oftentimes what happens is they're like, oh, well, MAGA is worse. Therefore, liberals never do anything wrong. They don't use hyperbole and they don't lie when it's convenient for political ends. And that's just not true. And so you have to apply the same level of scrutiny and criticism that you do to the political tribe that you're hostile against to your own political tribe so you can smell the bullshit. And even I'm guilty of obviously like bias where if something is convenient to my narrative, maybe I don't check it out as hard. maybe I don't check it out as hard as I normally do, which is totally true. But I still think that you have to keep that skeptical mindset. Yeah, Fast and Bulbous says my side is correct all the time and your side is faking gay. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to let this play out like another minute, and then I'm going to flip over to Josiah being pissy, because Josiah, he stopped participating in the live stream and the debate format, but I think that he's been putting out 3 to 5 anti-Trump videos for like 2 years. So he has so much repressed anger and frustration that I actually want to see him get triggered and get pissed off.
Are you claiming that the person that he was talking to above was actually like a Capitol Police? Was he the insider? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying the police officer's the insider?
Is he there? Hello?
Broke up there. You said, was he what?
Froze. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Are you claiming that like the police officer who was on the level above talking down to him, he was the inside job guy that was letting him in?
It was no. Well, it was a woman. I'm not claiming that. George Tenney claimed that in his trial, and CCTV corroborates that there was a woman there. And then if you look at it, yeah, I mean, it does look like that. He's not able to do it. You know, oh, what's the do? He points up, he talks to someone, and then suddenly after that, he knows how to open the door, even though, granted, there's a sign there. So, yeah.
All right, got it. Maglock point is debunked. Moving up to Josiah getting pissed.
You're confused. I went there because I thought it would be my last opportunity to see Trump speak in a public speech. Either it would be his last
You
speech,
said the reason you thought that you were getting shot at and hit with like pepper spray and bullets and shit was because you're MAGA and you were demanding election integrity.
Yeah. Okay. And that happened after the fact.
So if you were demanding election integrity, when did you ever demand election integrity about any state ever won by Trump in any election? He's run for president 3 times.
Oh, yeah. So I went there after the fact. I didn't know there was going to be any event at the Capitol. I went there after I went to the Ellipse. I didn't intend to go to the Capitol at all. I went there in a suit and tie. I intended to hear a speech.
Yeah. So when President Trump told you to go to the Capitol, that's when you went to the Capitol.
Yeah. After I heard that we're going to peacefully march to the Capitol.
So you were there because of Trump.
Well, I was there because I wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to have the protest. But you know, I understand.
Didn't you spend 40 fucking minutes like joining with your teammates, saying that there was like multifarious reasons why people were there?
Multivariable or multifaceted? Josiah misspoke. Boom. Get out of here, Josiah. I'm a better YouTuber than you. You misspoke.
Had nothing to do with Trump.
Hold on. You're being a little disingenuous. I'm not one of those people. I named some people who went there to protest COVID or to have a sit-in or anything like that. But I went there because I wanted to have a protest, and that's what my phone video shows.
And what were you protesting?
I believe that I was protesting a stolen election.
So you were worried about election integrity.
SFO says, by the way, I can DM you the after debate convo if you want. I have the timestamp in Destiny's mod. Bro, if you just want to call real quick, I mean, we're hitting 4 hours. I was probably going to wrap up in the next little bit, but if you wanted to yap, we could yap. If you don't want to yap, that's not a problem. I'll just keep watching content for a bit.
All right, so I don't think you know what you're talking about. I think you're trying to rewrite reality in real time.
I think you're imputing motives that don't exist.
My question to you is, if you're so concerned about election integrity, and you just explained that was why you were there, have you ever been concerned about election integrity in any election other than 2020, like the elections that Trump won? Or do you think voter fraud exists in elections where Trump loses?
Yeah, Bush Gore is a good example, but I was too young to vote.
Great example.
Okay.
I'll see you in a bit, SFO. What's just out of curiosity, what's the topic today?
Okay, that's great. That was 24 years ago. I'm asking about Trump. Ever since Trump has been in play, he won in 2020.
I don't have to worry about it because literally every single time Trump runs for anything, people are going to.
I'm not talking to you, asshole. I'm talking to Tim. Hey, sweetheart. I'm talking to Tim.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
Well, I just got owned again. Apparently, multivarious is a word. I'm going to pretend it's not, though.
Listen, no one cares about you.
Real Serious says, have you seen Sargon of Akkad's? See you, buddy. See ya. I'll probably actually wrap up in a minute. That way my guys can go check out your shit. But have you seen Sargon of Akkad's video on Warhammer? No, I haven't. Tell me more.
Hey, listen, go back to fucking your sister, okay? Listen, Tim, I'm asking you.
Listen here, cousin fucker.
See, Josiah.
Why don't you go back
Did
to where
were you
from?
concerned about election integrity in any state or election won
Nobody
by
gives a
Trump?
shit, asshole.
Tim.
Yeah, nobody gives a shit.
Tim, do you want somebody to answer for you?
What was the question? The same question? About fucking.
Yes, it's the same question. And what Josiah is getting at is the fact that you've never cared about election integrity until Trump called it out. Then you haven't come up with election integrity as a problem in any other aspect than what is advantageous to Trump. And if you thought about it for more than 3 seconds, then you should realize it's weird to only care about a principled issue when it only affects your team. And it's hypocritical. Rob says, Connor, if you're basing correct, you're on my side. And if you're lame and wrong, you're not. It's so clear. I mean, oftentimes. SFO says, if you're ending a bit, then fast forward to the final 5 minutes to get out epic dunks at the end. It was hilarious. Okay, let me see Josiah being spicy for a little bit longer before we do that.
Yes, have you ever been concerned about election integrity in any state or election won by Trump? So 2016, 2024?
I mean, the one time Tim was able to vote for Trump?
Officer Nasty says, link to the ICE porta potty video in the Discord. It's only 30 seconds long if you wanted to watch before dipping to save another day. I mean, yeah, we could deal with that tomorrow. What happens? He goes in with the female prisoner and the female prisoner pees, or does he sexually abuse the female prisoner?
What does voting have to do with being concerned about election integrity?
Sorry, I've paused like 7 times in the past 2 minutes. Real Serious says, Connor, he put out a 2-minute video 2 days ago about 40K basically becoming more popular because it's one of the last bastions of conservatism and masculinity in media that hasn't become woke. I haven't watched all of it, but it may be good content. Realistically, bro, he's going to be so disappointed, man. He's going to be so disappointed. I'm kind of disappointed because the amount of animation quality that they put into the Stormcast Eternals narrative that has principally female characters or whatever, they could have put that into a Warhammer 40K plot line and it would have been fantastic. And then same thing with that they're just like obviously emphasizing female characters where it's like 50-50. And it seems weird. It's like 90% of the people who are into this hobby are dudes. 90% of the people who are into this hobby are into Space Marines. Why do we have to like consistently watch like female protagonists like all the time? It's kind of annoying. But what I would say is I am looking forward to the Sisters of Battle series. It's probably going to be good. They're probably going to take the same animation quality that they applied to Pariah Nexus, and they're going to apply it to a exclusive Sisters of Battle series. And I think it's actually going to be really good. So it'll be woke because it's all women. It'll be good because it's going to be good animation quality and good violence. I digress.
I can list some other examples of election.
No, Gibbs, I'm not fucking with you because listen, I'm sure you're more principled than this guy. I'm testing.
I don't know why you would believe that, Josiah, but okay.
This guy's principled. Yeah, this guy doesn't give a fuck about election integrity. To him, election integrity means Trump lost and it must have been stolen.
Josiah, just to be clear, this guy is like actually an avowed white supremacist. They found Mein Kampf and the Turner Diaries in his house. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, this guy's like straight up.
I don't know what that means because we know he probably can't fucking read it. He can't even answer questions.
He's actually dodging the questions, to be clear. Like, he is a dumb.
Oh, obviously, because he knows
he's playing very coy right now. Like, he's like,
yes,
I thought they were shooting us because they hated us.
It's an auto loss. That's why he's not answering. I understand.
Okay, Tim, do you have any questions for
Tim?
Do you have any questions for Josiah? Because he's asked some questions to you. I think it's only fair that you get to ask some questions to him. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, no, I mean, the last thing I said, oh, you talking to me or to Grid?
Tim, you can talk to Josiah. Yeah, you can ask questions to him now if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I always care about, I always want a election that's good. I mean, but I mean, what do you ask me if I went to protest against Trump when he won and I agreed that he won?
No. I wasn't asking. No. Listen, and maybe you didn't hear me. I'll try again. I didn't ask if you protested any other elections. You said that you were concerned about election integrity. Okay. A principled person genuinely concerned about election integrity would probably have those concerns in every fucking election. But what we all know is that Trump supporters don't care about so-called election integrity as long as they get their preferred outcome. So my presumption is, as long as Trump wins, you think, oh, fuck, perfect election. We don't need to do audits or ask questions because my guy won. When your guy loses, then it's a stolen election, a rigged election, a fraudulent election, and then you're deeply concerned about election integrity. I was trying to probe the principle behind your concern, which I don't think you have. I think you are.
Jonah, you say it's kind of funny that the Sisters of Battle are right there, but apparently the most popular factions with women are Tyranids and Death Guard. What do you mean Death Guard, bro? Tyranids have some female-coded bug monsters. Tau have female. Death Watch are male Space Marines. Death Guard are Chaos male Space Marines. So I don't know who you're referring to. Yeah, Tyranids. Tyranids have a bioform. They're basically the bugs from Starship Troopers. I know this is totally off topic, but frankly, I feel like I've just been aping content for a while. But no. A Tyranid is a giant bug monster that eats everything on a planet. The Nurgle worshippers have a bunch of girl-coded stuff. What are you talking about? Or are you just saying that girls disproportionately play Nurgle? I don't know what you're talking about. What is this interruption? It's me getting bored because I've just been stealing content for the past 2 hours. Because frankly, what am I like? All I've done, just in case you guys didn't notice, all that happened was we watched this content, and then I went to, maybe Destiny's going a little bit hard, and I want to hear what Enrique Tarrio has to say. Okay, Enrique Tarrio said something that was really stupid. That's what happened. So that's all that happened. Yeah. Slurping up content like the Rotfather slurps up my pain. Okay. Oh, the most popular female faction's a Tyranid faction. Oh, I don't know. Girls are insane. And somebody said this earlier. Females love crime involving serial killers. And so maybe they just really, really, really like serial killing manifest. All right. Anyways, I do want to hear Josiah bullying a little bit more, and then I want to fast forward to the last 5.
Outcome oriented. Trump wins, election good. Trump loses, election bad.
I think we get the point. He's just gonna bully this guy repeatedly and say he has no principles as long as his team is winning, and that guy's gonna be like, no, I have principles, and then he's gonna be like, okay, so how do you apply your principles? He's gonna be like, I don't know. And that's going to be the entire conversation. No offense, but like politics at this point is actually filled with people who have the IQ, historical understanding, geopolitical understanding of economics of people in the 5th grade. So like they could be middle schoolers next year, but realistically they have the IQ, world knowledge, historical knowledge, geopolitical knowledge. They have that of somebody who's graduating the 5th grade. And that's actually being mean to 5th graders. So let's just check out the last 5 minutes of dunks.
Close this out.
I think the January 6th website was atrocious, incredibly dishonest, but totally in character with Trump. I think that the MAGA arguments here were predictably terrible. It was really painful watching you guys struggle with the Nancy Pelosi National Guard thing. That it was gut-wrenching to see you struggle with that. But I'm glad we all agree that the Speaker of the House is not in the chain of command with the National Guard. And whether you like it or not, yes, it would have been incredibly redeeming. If not, totally redeeming if we had evidence that he ordered the National Guard to be deployed when he wanted.
Jamestown Sassacre says, need more educated folks with well thought out positions like Misfit Patriot praising hands. Nice.
Watch the riot unfold or made any actual attempt as commander-in-chief to suppress the insurrection, but he didn't because he wanted it to happen. And that's nobody's fault but his. So he bears the primary moral and executive responsibility. And yeah, it's a real shame that justice was not really served in January 6th. I think it's a big stain on this country. But yeah, good listening to you guys. And Wick, you made a shit ton of money today, I'm sure.
I did.
God bless him.
And 50% of it came from me. So and my rage spending. So
I do appreciate the donations. It's nice to see you again. I miss you on the panel.
Speaking of which, like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them.
And stuff, man. So it's nice to have you jump in every once in a while. So thank you for being here.
You should come back.
Yeah. But just real quick before I let the rest go, if you enjoy this content, like, subscribe. On Monday, we're having Loner Box, we're having Jebtan, we're having Non-Smoker, and we're having Counterpoints on to debate the.
Let's go.
Oh, matter of fact, let's rewind that a couple of seconds so we can do it. Tonight, 6 p.m. EST, I shall be back for a debate. I want to hear who the libs are.
But just real quick before I let the rest go, if you enjoy this content, like, subscribe. On Monday, we're having Loner Box, we're having Jebtan, we're having Non-Smoker, and we're having Counterpoints on to debate the shooting of the...
Which I'm like pro shooting people in the face. So Non-Smoker is the person who's going to be for the protesters. Somebody remind me if I'm incorrect. I thought Non-Smoker was the redheaded Jim bro, MAGA bro. Am I forget? No. Is Non-Smoker the communist? Non-Smoker might be the communist. Yeah, I'll be streaming it on my channel for sure. I think Non-Smoker is the communist. Uh-oh. So we have ooh, yep. I was mistaking who it was. Okay. So it's going to be Loner, who I expect to be sane. It's going to be the hardcore communist who I expect to not be sane. He's a nice guy. He's smart, but I do not expect him to be sane. And then Jebtan and I, we've already discussed it. We're on the same team. Uh-oh. It's either going to be incredibly chill because everybody's actually not R-slurred, or it's going to be incredibly spicy if Mr. Kami comes out the gate super hard. So, what is the topic? The Minnesota shooting. Call W says, I have D&D tonight, so I'll need to catch the VOD. No problems. Let me share something else with you. I reconnected with some friends that I haven't been able to hang out with for the past 2 to 3 years. And they are huge into D&D, and I was kind of getting them into the Expanse and into Warhammer 40K. So I'm going to try to obviously get them into my shit, but they're going to try to get me into their shit. And I was like, damn, I kind of want to do like RPG, like D&D style RPG stuff and or Warhammer battle reports. I kind of want to do that on the Counterpoints channel. I obviously have, or 40K channel. I obviously have way too many things going on, but that's not to say that we can't squeeze it in somewhere. Yeah, Send Patriarch says you need to do some D&D or Expanse TTRPG. That's what I'm thinking. I'll be live. I'll be live tonight. Yeah, Officer Nasty says, imagine wanting your friends to be so broke that you would get them into 40K. I know, he's an engineer. He can afford it. So, all right, anyways.
ICE.
Sorry.
Or the ICE agent shooting of the woman. So check that out. It's going to be 6 p.m. Tim, please give us what you got to close this out.
Well, thank you. I don't do this very often. I really appreciate you having me on, Wick. I appreciate the invitation, Grid. I prepared for a different kind of debate with different bullet points and stuff, so I'm not going to burn through all that. But I think that January 6th has another side to it that most people are not familiar with. I'd like to see more debates like this, and there's a lot more video, obviously, that we're not going to diarrhea out onto the audience. But I'm always happy to share that kind of video. And check me out on X, Lewis of Monmouth. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the debate. And
yeah, Blood Monkeys United says Sargon of Akkad posted a new weird The Imperium of Man is Base video. Yeah, maybe you're the second person to mention it, so maybe we should break that down tomorrow. We will for sure do World War debate tomorrow. Maybe I'll add that into the docket as well.
Keep in touch with yourselves.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Always a pleasure. And I'll add your stuff to the YouTube description when I get a chance. Next up, it's Kung Fu Joe, the tracksuit guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Wick, for hosting this. Want to thank Dev and Destiny for giving their time to the panel today, as well as my fellow conservatives here. I may have had a bit of a different position than some of you guys, but I think one thing we could all take from this and maybe agree on is I'm kind of glad that people like Dev and Destiny have decided to become completely politically ineffective by whinging on years later about January 6th. It's
try to overthrow the Republic, you C words. I won't say the C slur, but it's there.
2024 came and went. That election came and went, and nobody gave a single fuck about January 6th. So I just hope that they keep on crying about January 6th, and I hope they keep on picking women to run as their candidates for president. And with that, you guys have a good night.
Thank you for being here. Check him out, gang. I have links to his stuff in my YouTube description. Gibbs.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun. Enjoyed it as always. Love debates. Yeah, I think that it's pretty clear that the Dems want to play ticky-tack word games, and they don't really care how they win. They just want to win. And I feel like these double standards really reiterate that fact and drive it home. In other words, yeah, also pondering. We'll have to talk some Star Wars soon. And one last note, did anybody else think that Enrique might be John Zerga's lost twin? Like, because they look identical, I think. It's crazy. I couldn't get past it. But yeah, thanks for having me. Fun as always.
Always a pleasure. And check him out, gang. Links to his stuff in my description. Destiny, please.
Yeah, I think there's two different realities. One is supported by hundreds of pages of deposition, thousands of hours of video footage, tens of thousands of eyewitness testimonies and everything else. And I mean, countless court documents, filings, cases lost, cases that went nowhere. And I mean, the other side literally just has a ton of conspiratorial nonsense behind it. And then this desperate attempt to weave narratives out of 7-second video clips that everybody knows is bullshit. Yeah, it's pretty sad and depressing. Hopefully the next president, when he comes up, can find a way to reconvict and rejail everybody that was involved in this shit, or exile them out of the fucking country, send them to El Salvador or whatever.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. And links to his stuff, if you need it, in the description. Dev, final word, please.
Anybody who wants to know more about this topic, as always, go to my channel, watch my 4-hour video on January 6th, where I go over autistically.
Wait, someone made a video on January 6th? That's crazy.
Yes.
That's awesome. I
Yes.
wish more people would do so, but go ahead, finish.
For those of you who don't know, that's an elbow at Destiny, because Destiny has been saying that he has a January 6th documentary coming out for like years now. And also what's crazy funny about that is it came up randomly during the last time that I hung out with Steven, which was probably like 2 or 3 months ago. It was actually November. In November, late November, the Sam Bino, Destiny's like COO, was like, oh yeah, you know, with all that extra free time, like let's say that you started streaming just Monday through Friday, and then you started taking the weekends off. It would actually be great for you to do, you know, pre-recorded projects like your January 6th documentary. It was dope. It was fun. All right. Anyways, sorry. Let's get Dev throwing elbows.
What you guys here, this is a message to the right-wingers in the panel, okay? What you guys need to realize is that Biden was the compromise candidate, okay? He was the one that Democrats went with when they wanted to reconcile with you. And that era of the Democratic Party is now over. At this point, when the Democrats win next, and they will win next, the only way for justice to be served now is for Trump and every single collaborator in his regime to be locked up. And then we need government programs to breed your women with illegals and then trans all your kids.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Parasocial love. Bye for now. See you in a second.